If the world hates you, just remember that it has hated me first. If you belong to the world, then the world would love you as its own. But I chose you from this world, and you do not belong to it. That is why the world hates you. Whoever hates me, hates my father also. They would not have been guilty of sin if I had not done among them the things that no one else has done. As it is, they have seen what I did, and they hate both me and my father. They hated me for no reason at all.
And we are live. We are live. Glad to have you all here. God bless each and every one of you, chat. We are having another open mic session, another open mic stream. I'm glad to have you guys here. Actually forgot to post that I'm going live. So let me go ahead and do that. But how's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? God bless each and every one of you. PB&J, what's good, brother? For fun, what's good? We also have the one and only Smokey with the 300. The 300 before we even go live. How amazing. How amazing. I'm trying to post a now live message as I'm speaking. So sorry if this is kind of weird, but chat, as of today, our channel is now 2 years old. How amazing. But Smokey with the 300, God bless. Thank you, bro. He says, let's get anyone who wants to debate. Shanks was the only one speaking to the Gore. Say jump in, because the Shanks is a rat agenda is dead. Completely dead. I agree. Shanks is a rat is not a good take. So going like just kind of here, this is what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to explain how the stream is going to run, okay? We're going to have an actual system. We have an actual formula for today's stream. Let me explain it. That way we could get to the super chat when it's time, okay, guys? So look, right now, we just went live, right? We're going to have our little introduction, right? Our little introduction, our little opening for me to explain to you how this stream's going to go, right? I'm greeting you guys, saying hello, right? Okay, after 5 minutes, we're going to have our first open mic round, okay? So for 20 minutes, I'm going to have 4 people in the open mic, okay? But, right, each person, it's only them talking. And each person gets 5 minutes to go back and forth with me. After the first person, then the second person, we go back and forth. Third person, we go back and forth. Each person gets 5 minutes. That's about 20 minutes, right? After we do that, we're going to move on to donations and super chat messages, okay? Once we get through all the donations and super chat messages, we're going to do another open mic session, right? Another open mic round. So basically, each round has 4 people, and each person, each one of the 4 people has 5 minutes, just me and them back and forth, rather than, 6 people in a call yelling over each other, trying to argue and stuff like that. So guys, if you are willing and excited enough to join the open mic, you guys got to do it immediately, like right now, because here in a few seconds, we're going to start our first open mic session, our first open mic round. Okay. So if you guys want to join, the StreamYard link should be pinned at the top of the stream chat, and the StreamYard link should be in the description. Okay. I gave you guys plenty of notices. I let you guys know the past week that we were going to have an open mic stream. Told you guys hit the noti bell. I put up a reminder yesterday about how we were going to go live. I put up a reminder 30 minutes ago. So if you guys have been eager to do an open mic and debate me or ask questions or whatever it is you guys want to talk about in the open mic, now is your time. Okay. So again, each person's going to have about 5 minutes just back and forth with me. Okay. After we've done 4 people, because it's 4 people per round, I'm going to go and focus on the super chats. Then when I've finished the super chats, we're going to go into another open mic round. Okay, chat? So again, Young Smokey, I actually starred your super chat, so it's not going to go away. Let me get deeper into the super chat. If you don't mind, once we finish this first open mic round, and then I'll go through all the super chats, and then we'll jump into the second round. But I'm glad all of you guys are here. Med, God bless. John, God bless. For Fun, God bless. The one and only Vincent, God bless. I'm glad to see you here. Jacob, God bless. Umbrella, God bless, bro. Nomad, God bless. I hope I'm not missing anyone. PB and J, we've been praying for you, man. Glad to see you here, brother. Anime Land, you too, brother. God bless. Child of Christ, is that Tay? Tay, salute, bro. God bless. I hope you've been staying happy, strong, and healthy. Hope that Christ has delivered peace into your heart. I hope, Tay, that Christ has been strengthening you. Okay, I hope he's been giving you all the strength and perseverance that you need. Anime Land, thank you, brother. So, all right, guys, we're starting the open mic session. This is the first round of the open mic. I hope you guys joined the StreamYard link, because if you don't join, you're going to miss, and then you're going to be sad. Okay, so we're starting. We're going to start with Smokey Gabon, because as you guys see in the stream description, if you guys super chat, you guys have mic priority. So, Young Smokey with the 300, let's bring him in. The one and only.
What is up, my dude?
What's going on, bro? So you're on that.
Bro, I just got a 15 minute before stream.
What was that?
I said I just got a 15 minutes before the stream. I'm still kind of sleepy.
You're still waking up.
Nah, but right. I'm gonna let you tee it off, okay? I'm gonna go off you, so I'm gonna let you tee it off. Why do you think the Shanks agenda is dead? And let's clarify this. When I say the Shanks agenda, I'm not talking about Shanks is evil. I'm talking about specifically that Shanks snitched on Blackbeard when he was talking to the Gorosei. I now believe that it could have been Shamrock talking about Blackbeard, or it could have been him talking about Luffy. That's what I believe. I believe the Shanks that showed up with the Gorosei, the reason why it was Shamrock and not Shanks is, should Shanks, a Yonko, even be able to get that far into the castle without being seen by someone? Now, on the opposite side, Shamrock is Shanks' twin. He's the twin of a famous guy. Like, I don't think everybody's supposed to know that Shanks has a twin. I think that's a secret.
Yeah, so
I think that's Shamrock in that hood because that ain't headcanon, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, so when we talk about like the rat agenda, right, it really depends on who it is that's being spoken about and perspective. So let me give you an example, right? Let's say like I'm in the streets, right? And, you know, I have two friends. I have a friend named Tommy and a friend named John, right? Now, let's say me, Tommy, and John rob a bank, and then John gets caught. And John's like, yo, FBI agent. Tommy planned the whole thing. Tommy was in the bank, blah, 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 blah. We would say,
that's a good idea. I'd make Tommy the fall guy anyway. Who the hell is named Tommy? You couldn't even trust that guy.
people could argue and say that John, whoever it was the one that was snitching, right? But let's shift perspectives. Let's say, like, God forbid this ever happens. I'm just trying to create an example, right? Let's say your mom, right? Something happened with your mom, and your mom went to the police, and she was talking to them about some guy that like robbed her. Would we still say that like your mom snitched? So I think it really depends on the perspective. So if Shanks, right, knows that Blackbeard can destroy the world and kill Luffy and do all these crazy things, then I think it kind of changes the perspective of snitching. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Shanks is like snitching in the kind of sense that a lot of people throw around. But on the other hand, if Shanks is talking about Luffy, then I could see why it would be snitching, because Luffy's like our guy, generally speaking. Although I don't think Shanks ratting on Luffy and making Luffy look bad and putting a bigger target on his back makes sense in the first place.
I agree.
when you think about Shanks going to Whitebeard, no one ever talks about like or argues that Shanks snitched on Blackbeard or Whitebeard. No one would argue that because one, they know that Blackbeard is like a evil, malevolent figure to begin with. But then two, they would argue, okay, well, Whitebeard is not like the world government. But then that brings me back to the first point that
Now that's like snitching on a kid to his daddy. That's
yeah,
the essential of what
that's
snitching on Blackbeard to Whitebeard is.
yeah, exactly. So, but that brings me to the first point that I laid out before I explained this is that if Blackbeard can kill Luffy and destroy the world and do all these crazy things, then you might be able to understand why Shanks would be willing to go to the world government and talk about Blackbeard.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you, brother. I'm just here to defend Shanks because he's been catching a lot of hell over the past 3 weeks or so. And not only that, the Shanks is a snitch agenda. First it was started for fun. Like everybody was like, even back in the day. And the crazy thing is, the Grand Line actually made a video about this like two weeks ago or something. And like, so apparently this agenda started way back in the day, like to when Roger mysteriously died. You know, the early beginnings was like Shanks is a traitor. He was there to poison Roger and all that, and that's when that started. Then after a couple of years, eventually we got the chapter. I believe it was 907, right, Trevel? 907 when we saw Shanks go up to the Gorsei,
Yeah.
or we saw Shanks go up to the Gorsei. That's when it really hit full swing. Then he got confirmed to have celestial dragon blood and all that. I mean, it's a funny agenda. It's one of the funniest agendas out there, and it's one that does have some evidence. I will say this: there is some evidence and some interesting pathways Oda could have went had he chose that route. But
Yeah.
nah, Oda. But as soon as he introduced Shamrock, I knew that was done.
Yeah, I've been meaning to double check. I keep forgetting to go back to 907 and look to see if there was a scar on Shanks's eye because I remember well before Shamrock was introduced into the story. I think like depending on the angle, some people were questioning if it was Shanks or not because he didn't have the scar. But I don't remember if like maybe they misread the panel or if I'm just like fabricating this. But what I would how I basically tackle this is I would say one, Shanks turning his back on Luffy makes absolutely no sense. And I don't have any reason to be biased. It's not like I'm like a super Shanks fan or like I believe in the Shanks agenda. I don't care about any of that. When you look at the plot and the narrative, it makes absolutely no sense for you to argue that Shanks is against Luffy. So the real question is Shanks a rat or a bad guy for talking about Blackbeard? Well, if we believe that Blackbeard could get a third devil fruit and just wreck and destroy the world, it might be a scenario where even though Shanks has qualms with the world government, he would be willing to warn them about Blackbeard because Blackbeard is that much of a threat. That's how I would go and tackle the problem.
Do you think it's do you think it was the reason why he decided to go talk to the Gorsa? If he did that, do you think the reason would be Blackbeard's powers, or do you believe within that time Shanks actually figured out the truth that we all just recently figured out? And he's like, "Oh crap, this is the son of Zebek."
It could be a mix of both, but if it so I wouldn't necessarily put my chips on the table and say that it is Shanks because I do think it could be Shamrock. But if it is Shanks and he was talking about Blackbeard, I would not be surprised at all because I mean pre-time skip was the same scenario. Shanks going to a powerful figure and warning that figure about Blackbeard. I wouldn't be shocked at all. But to answer your question,
let's say it's Shamrock though, right?
yeah.
If it's Shamrock, who do you think he was? Who do you think in that context he would be talking about? Because if Shamrock's talking about a pirate, my guess right now would be two people. Third one, if you want to throw in Luffy, but I think that's a little far fetched. I really don't think Shamrock really knew all that much about Luffy, unless Shanks was talking to him at some point, you know. But I believe the two pirates that Shamrock could have been talking about is one Loki, because they were getting ready to go to Elbath and recruit Loki. In the actual time span of the story, that was only weeks before they came and raised hell in Elbath.
Mm,
I think, right? Because the
yeah,
the whole story is within like 3 years, right?
yeah, somewhere around there. But I'm gonna let me answer this. Then we're gonna go to Edison and see if anyone else wants to join backstage to join the open mic. But to answer your question, that's a great question. If it was Shamrock talking to the Gorosei, who was the pirate he was warning them about? Honestly, I think there's too much heat on Luffy for it to really make sense that, he would be like, hey, you guys aren't worrying about Luffy enough. Because when you look at the timeline, it's kind of like, no, they kind of were worrying about Luffy. Like they sent CP0 to Wano, right? They know that he has like this this renamed Devil Fruit. So I don't really think it would be Luffy. It could be Blackbeard, honestly, or Buggy. But what I would
The
say
other
is,
son of Zebek. I
yeah,
got it.
exactly. Hey,
I still want Zebek to have black and blue hair, man.
I'm here for it.
But
If
I think
Zebek
it's I think it's
bothered,
gonna end up being white and black.
yeah. Either way, I mean, if he is black and blue and he ends up being the father of Buggy, I'm down. But if he has white and black, that looks cool. So
Yeah, the crown jewel of Hachinosu, Buggy the Clown.
yes, sir. All right. So good talking to you. Let me move on to the next person. And if there's no one else hopping into the open mic, I'll pull you back in.
All right, no, go ahead. Just let
All
me
right.
know before you do it.
Yeah, of
All
course.
right,
Gotcha.
brother. You take care of yourself, my friend. It was
Yeah,
good talking to you.
I'll probably catch you back if you're still here.
Okie dokie, brother. I'm gonna jump back in the stream now.
All
You
right,
take
bro.
it easy. Peace.
You too. All right. Chat, glad to see you guys here. Guys, we're doing the open mic round right now. Once this open mic round finishes, I'm gonna go through the super chats. So everyone's super chatting, don't even worry. I'm gonna go through the super chats here in a few moments, but glad to see you guys here. God bless all of you guys. I'm justifying snitching. You know what? Hey, is it really snitching? Everyone has some dirt. Shanks is a pirate. Blackbeard's a pirate. The world government's evil. I mean, snitching. I don't know, bro. Why is the mainstream OP YouTubers be scared to mention your name while talking about you? I don't know, bro. Maybe it's like Voldemort, bro. Maybe it's like Voldemort. He who shall not be named. Maybe it's like Fight Club. First rule about Fight Club is we don't speak about Fight Club. It doesn't exist, right? I'm he who shall not be named. I'm Fight Club. I don't know, bro. I don't really know. Maybe it's because of the Palestine stuff. Maybe it's because Jews. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of Christ. I don't know, but I'm unbothered. Hey, I'm unbothered. I got all my trust and faith in Christ. Let people say whatever, bro. Like, there does come to a time where I'll have to defend myself, my reputation, stuff like that. But it's all in the hands of Christ. Let them say I steal theories. Let them say I hate this. I do this. I push this. Yo, don't care, bro. Don't care. But yeah, chat. Glad to see you all here. God bless. Let's pull Mr. Edison in. Hello, Mr. Edison. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
What's good, bro? I can hear you.
Yeah, I posted a theory on your Discord saying that Shamrock was dispatched by Emu to get information about Luffy after Eni's lobby. You read it?
Oh, I did. I commented on that, didn't I?
Yeah, I want to know if it holds weight because it actually makes sense. I mean, Emu would not allow someone who burns down the flag and cause so much destruction on Eni's lobby to get. He would probably get a lot of priority information, like Luffy's childhood, where he's from, any details, especially if he's the Nika fruit user.
So, I know what you're talking about. Do you mind just starting from the very beginning of that so that you can let chat know what you're thinking?
Okay, I had to pull it up. I had to pull up that post. I
Oh, did you cut out there?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, I hear you now.
Yeah, the mic. It starts at the aftermath of Ennie's lobby. You know how the Gorsey learned about Ennie's lobby being invaded by the Straw Hats and very angry galley law employees for Assess trying to kill Iceberg. You know, to get the Pluton blueprints and rescuing Robin. And I bet
Right.
Emu was like pissed as all hell for learning about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I imagine that he dispatched Shamrock to gain information about Luffy in particular. You know, about his past, childhood, any relevant details, if he's a Nika Fruit user. I mean, he could just go to like Fuchsia Village and impersonate Shanks if he wanted to.
But you're talking about.
I know he's a Teriyubito, but still.
You're talking about pre-time skip, right? Or are you talking about post-time skip?
Pre-time skip affecting post-time skip.
So my immediate question to you would be, if how do I say this? If Shamrock was ordered to spy on Luffy pre-time skip, because you're talking about
get information,
or to get information, well, how do I word this? Will we see him getting information? Because it seems like Shamrock hasn't interacted with Luffy yet.
Yeah, but still, the government has a lot of intelligence networks, including the Holy Knights.
So
it makes sense, and it makes sense why he appeared in front of the Gorsey to talk about a certain pirate. He was trying to tell them that Luffy is that certain pirate.
So you believe that Shamrock in pre-time skip Ennie's lobby was post Ennie's lobby was ordered to go gather intel on Luffy, and he didn't warn the Gorsey about Luffy until after the post-time skip?
Yeah. Hey, information is hard to get sometimes.
I don't know. I don't really know.
It does make sense.
No. I see where you're coming from. You know, one thing that comes to my mind is like when I think about like spying and espionage, I think about Cypher Pole. I think of the Holy Knights more of like a military force. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but military force also has intelligence gathering. And, you know, Cypher Pole Zero doesn't know about Emu. So,
fair enough.
Shamrock does.
Well, I suppose that if like Emu could relay this to the world to the Gorsey, and the Gorsey could tell the Cypher Pole to go research things for them. Isn't that generally
true?
Like the Cypher Pole agencies, they generally work for the Gorsey?
Yeah.
I don't know. You raise an interesting idea. It's something I have to think about more. It's just I wish there was more to like play around with, because I mean I can't really think of a scenario where, you know, Shamrock was gathering intel about Luffy.
Well, it's the only possible way, because he had a discussion with the Gorsey about a certain pirate, and Luffy is that certain pirate because he has the Nika fruit.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back to that, because that's kind of like the crux of this. Would you be able to like formulate a good argument as to why the person in 907 is Shamrock and not Shanks? Like, how would you prove that it's Shamrock?
Well, the identical twins had the same voice, same face, same everything, but Oda purposely did a side view, and he had and Shark had a similar hood when he debuted, like over 200 chapters later.
Let me.
And it makes sense.
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to Like I'm trying to weigh out in my mind like the probability level. I keep saying that I'm going to go back to 907 to see this so-called Shanks or Shamrock. Let me look at it right now because I want to see if it's the same, if it's the angle of his face that would reveal the scar or not, which is
It
on his.
doesn't. I strongly remember not seeing any scar.
But are you
So,
saying?
hey, chat.
Hold on.
Do you think my theory holds up? Let me
Yeah,
know
chat.
in the live chat.
Yeah. Chat. Go ahead and answer him. Let him know if that theory holds up or not. But hold on. I wanted to ask you. You said that it doesn't show the scar, but to be specific, are you saying the scar that should be there is not there?
No, it's just like a profile view.
No, but like he has the scar on one side of the face, right? So are you saying
it's
that
on his left side? Shamrock does not have a scar, and he doesn't.
Hold on, wait a second. I think you might actually wait. So Shanks is scar. No, wait. Oh no, I'm looking at it right now. So the side, okay, so Shanks has the scar on his left. So when we're looking at Shanks, it's on the right. It's on Shanks's left. But in 907, the face that we see doesn't reveal the side of the face with the scar, and I'm pretty sure Oda did that on purpose. Yo, Edison, I think you might have had your mic cut out again.
Oh yeah, I was on my phone. Yeah, and I noticed that in the panel that it's a little bit. His hair is a little bit longer. Shamrock's hair is a lot more longer, more regal looking in that panel.
I don't know, because I'm looking at Shanks' manga panel on the One Piece wiki. It was the panel when he was in Marineford, and Shanks' hair towards the front of his face goes to the top of his mouth, and then the character in 907, his hair goes to the top of his mouth. So the hair for the guy on 907 is the same length as the hair for Shanks. I'm looking at it right. Same as Shamrock.
But Shamrock has no scar. Just look at him and Shanks. They're identical twins, but you can tell the difference because of separated birth. And Shanks has a scar. He doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Edison, it was good chopping it up with you. I'm gonna go on to the next person, but if you want to stick around and hang in the backstage, I might be able to pull you back in, so we could talk some more.
Do you think it has some weight that's valid?
Yeah, I mean, it has weight, but like for me personally, right? It's just my opinion. I like to look at arguments that I feel like have strong, high possibilities. And for me, that generally relies on evidences that hold a lot of weight. So I think for this conversation, this take, I feel like it's more circumstantial because of the hair length and not seeing the side of his face with the scar. So I think it's more circumstantial. And with the circumstantial types of evidence, I feel like the probability weight doesn't get raised that much higher. But that's just my opinion. And it could be,
Okay.
it could be.
What? You cut out.
Your theory, your take could be true, whether I agree or not. But I just think I want some more like heavy hitting evidence.
Okay, and I got one last question. Do you believe that Teach and Buggy are half brothers? Because I heard about that popular theory recently.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I've always believed Buggy was the son of Zebek. I have so many videos on that.
Okay. See ya.
All right, brother. All right, chat. Glad to see you guys here. Johan, God bless, bro. John, God bless. The one and only Eli, God bless. Guys, we're gonna pull in our next caller. Then once I've done that, we're gonna go over the super chats. All right. Let's get what happened to wordplay? Oh, wordplay. It won't let me put you in the call because you don't have a mic connected. I want to pull in wordplay because he was the next one waiting. So wordplay, are you able to enable a microphone? I don't know if you're on your PC or your phone. You have to give StreamYard access to your microphone. And you could use your camera too if you want. I don't mind, but all right, let's see. We'll give Wordplay here a second to see if he could connect his mic because he was the next one waiting. So Wordplay, if you can hear me, allow access to what do you call it? Allow access to your microphone on StreamYard so I could pull you into the call. I physically can't pull you into the call if you don't have a mic enabled, brother. If not, we're gonna have to go on to Brill. Oh, Brill left. What y'all think about Rock's debuggy theory, man? What do I think about it? I have to shout out King J and Three Skull Joe. I gotta shout out King J and Three Skull Joe theories, Joe Three Skull theories, because me, King J, and Three Skull Joe have been pushing Rock's debuggy for such a long time now. Just such a long time, bro. You could literally just go on YouTube, type in my name, and type in Buggy. You're gonna see videos from like 3 years ago. And when you watch those videos, shout out to Three Skull Joe, shout out to King J, you can see that we've always had legitimate reasons as to why Buggy can be the son of Zebek. Not just guessing, not just like, oh, it'd be funny, like, you know. All right, Brill, if Wordplay doesn't get his mic enabled here in a second, I'll move on to you, Brill. Is that Jibril or is that someone else? See if Wordplay could get back in. Wordplay, I'm counting on you, bro. Get into the StreamYard, enable your microphone. It's weird because I have a mic enabled and it allowed it. All right, we're going to give Wordplay another second here. Oh, I think we got him. All right, you there?
Hello.
Yo, what's up, bro?
Hi. I actually have a crack theory that I would like to share with you. One of the things in the world of One Piece that I find so interesting that they don't get brought up a lot is actually the point of dragons going extinct. Like, out of all like the mythical creatures in the world, like even unicorns exist and all of that, dragons are just like one of the big things. They're just like, they're just extinct. Like, and they don't give an exact reason. And I find it interesting that the celestial dragons take on the name and the moniker. So I personally wondered if the Lunarians are part dragon, and like they, like the gods that were up there at basically were the essentially the dragons, and then the humans came along and took like that and basically proclaimed themselves as the dragons. And there's like a numerous like amount of instances that I could actually pull up. One of the more interesting ones was Vegapunk literally recreating dragons like from existent like to existence, and then the world government doesn't use them for anything, which is a funny instance because you think that the one of the world's like biggest superpowers would use something that would be that destructive, and it has been shown that they can like control them with like sedatives. So the idea is that Vegapunk has like all these things wrong with these inventions. So what's the flaw with the dragons? Why did the world government consider them failures? And my theory is that these dragons are animals. Dragons of the past were actually people, like a race of people that actually could transform. And most recently, with the monsters like OVA, when they show the actual dragon, the horn in the actual manga doesn't have any detail to it. But when they show it in the anime, they actually like have all of these inscriptions that make it look like it's from Elbaf. And as soon as they blow it, the dragon shows up, which makes me think that something has to do with, like, there's like a lot of points of like music in One Piece. Perhaps like a sort of resonance makes somebody transform into this form to do it. And with that, hold on, sorry, one second. Loki was just revealed with those eyes. And possibly, I'm partially thinking that he could be of dragon blood with those eyes. And that he is the, how you say it, like the result of that, and it's just been like so long since anybody's seen it that nobody knows what it is.
I see. I don't want to interrupt you. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
There was, but it's early in the morning, and I just woke up and I was like, oh shit, he's online, and I wanted to get this out. But if there's another time, I would love to go in more deeper into this, but right now I'm just tired.
Yeah, no, I understand. So we will have another open mic stream sometime soon, because actually in the stream description, everyone had 2 goals for donations this stream. For next streams being promised, and Young Smokey, before the stream started, drops $300, so the goal's just instantly fulfilled. So we will have more open mic streams. But to go back to what you were saying, Wordplay, the whole thing about dragons in One Piece is really mysterious and actually really fascinating, because it doesn't get translated well into English. Because when you read the Japanese RAWs of One Piece, you can see that they differentiate dragons. So generally speaking, in One Piece, there's 2 types of dragons. There's Ryu, which is serpentine-like dragons. They don't have wings, that we see in Eastern cultures. And then there's just regular dragons that are winged. Now, the interesting thing is we could see different, like, depending on what we're talking about, we could see different dragons being utilized in certain scenarios. So for an example, right, when you look at, I think it was like a One Piece magazine, Oda was talking about how Ryu once killed a dragon. When you read the Japanese, it's a winged dragon. So that's one thing to think about. When you look at Kaido being a dragon, he is a Ryu, meaning he is a serpentine dragon from Eastern culture. So that's why Kaido's a dragon, but he doesn't have wings. Now, if you want to get more spicy, celestial dragons. The celestial dragons in Japanese use Ryu, which doesn't align with winged dragons. It aligns with Eastern dragons, the serpentine dragons like Kaido. And then when you look at characters like Monkey D. Dragon, he's an interesting one because Oda chose to write it in katakana based off of English. So what he did was he got like the English word or pronunciation of dragon, and then he used katakana to make it say doragon, which makes it ambiguous as to whether or not dragon would fall under winged or serpentine. And I know Oda did that intentionally. But to go back, when we look at the celestial dragons, again, they're Ryu dragons, meaning serpentine. Now, a lot of people have caught on that the world government, the celestial dragons and Emu, are evil and demonic, right? The demonic covenant. We know Emu has a lot of parallels to Satan and stuff like that. We know that Satan was a serpent in the garden. We know that Satan is being described all the time in the Bible, sacred scripture, as a dragon, as a serpent, as a serpentine dragon. So with all of these different things about dragons in One Piece, it makes you wonder what wordplay is bringing up, where it's like, what was the origin of dragons in One Piece? Why are they going extinct? Why is Vegapunk having these so-called issues with dragons? It really, really, really is an enigma. It's a very fascinating one. It makes me almost wonder if maybe, you know, ancient times of One Piece, maybe this was like the two sides that conflicted with each other. Maybe one side was the Western dragons, the winged dragons, and then the other side was the Eastern dragons, the serpentine dragons.
Which would go back to the joke of literally Buggy going, "Hey, which is the better, the North or the South Pole?" Which is it's just being like the opposite of just being like, which could also be even funnier because of the red line that splits the world in two. So they're just like, that's the battleground.
Exactly. So, you know, I always have like these different thoughts and like I run through all these different variables and ideas in my head. They just don't ever really get made into videos because I'll find that like the ideas are flawed or I don't have enough information. But I was actually thinking about this exact thing the other day, wordplay, where it's like, we know Vegapunk talked about two competing ideologies. We know Corazon talked about how the D-Clan are natural enemies to the world government, the Celestial Dragons. And when the Japanese kanji, when Corazon says natural enemies, he words it in such a way where it's like literal natural, like intrinsically opposite, like light and dark, not like I don't know, like what's something that would be opposite, like I can't think of an example, but not just
yin
too
and yang.
opposite, arbitrary, like something that's natural. So I had like this idea, maybe like deep in the core of One Piece, maybe it's like Western versus Eastern. And I start thinking about real life, how that was a conflict a lot of the time. Even now, there's still kind of a conflict between West and East. I don't know. Like, it's so fascinating wordplay when we talk about like dragons in One Piece. We start going in all these different directions. That's part of the reason I love One Piece. But yeah, I think deep in the annals of history in One Piece, there was some type of important conflict, some type of important narrative regarding dragons, whether it's Western or Eastern, having an issue, but it doesn't appear as obvious in the English translations.
Yeah, which I am fairly interested in like how Elbaf is going to go, because we have the heaven part of Elbaf, but nobody seems to talk about it or want to go there, which makes me think that because you see in the mural that a dragon is coming from that if we go up there, there's going to be a giant nest revealed, like a big nest.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you bring this up, the heavenly realm, bro. I'm on the same wavelength, man, 100%. A bird, a bird's nest or like a dragon's nest?
Like a dragon's nest. One of the more interesting ideas is that this dragon doesn't seem to follow the rest. It's as it's depicted in the mural, it seems to have bird's wings. That's the way it looks, which makes it different than like the ones that Vegapunk has procured and the Easterns that don't have any wings. In fact, it looks like kind of serpentine. And one of the more interesting things that I actually saw was I was introduced to this actual dragon mythology where when we were talking about how the interesting points about Elbaf and Thriller Bark were there, and how at the end there's this gigantic creature and they're just like, oh, I saw something, and they put like this gigantic thing. What you can actually see is if you look at it, it looks like a head and like two wings, and there is actually a Chinese dragon that is the master of like fog and all of this. So I wondered if it's actually known as like a sea serpent, like a sea serpent kind of dragon. And basically I wondered if the Florian Triangle literally was like a hiding spot for it, because the government is seemingly, well, I don't know if there are what people are hunting them for, but I do have like one thought, which is that in fairy tales, dragons are usually like of Eastern, that they can grant wishes. So I wondered how that worked with the current story, and I wonder if dragons were hunted to existence because they could grant wishes with their blood. Because in medieval mythology, people used dragon's blood for alchemy and all this different stuff, but it wasn't real. Which this peddler actually went to a tree and made up a whole entire story about it. He proclaimed that the tree is actually a dead dragon that died because an elephant came and they had a fight to the death, and he killed the dragon, and then when the dragon was dead and gone, it created the tree. So I think you know what I'm trying.
Oh, did you cut out, or is that me?
I think it's you. Hello?
Uh-oh. Are we good?
Hello? Hello?
Yo, are we good? Are we good, chat? Hello?
Hold on. Let me try to refresh.
Oh no, I think he lost connection. Oh no, dude, he was going off, man. Oh, he's back. All right, you there?
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me?
Oh, now I can't hear him. Hold on one second. All right, hello?
Hello?
Okay, got you now. The last thing I heard was you said the elephant killed the dragon.
Yeah. So the elephant killed the dragon, and as the blood seeped into the ground, it created the tree, which I immediately thought to devil fruits. I immediately thought about the idea about how dragons are known to be wish bearers, and if the idea of people just being well, I want my wish coming true no matter what, it seems to be a very selfish thing that the world would do. So I wonder if that's where all the dreams really came from, hunting dragons to extinction because they wanted their blood to create devil fruits.
Okay, well, so wow, you said many awesome things, and I loved all of that. I'm gonna go and try to address as many as I can. Then afterwards, we're gonna get into the super chats because we do have a bunch lined up. And then after that, we're gonna do round 2 of open mic. But wordplay, that was absolutely stellar. You went into a lot of directions, which shows you the beauty about One Piece. So I just want to add a few data points. I don't necessarily disagree with anything you said. I don't think any of your theories or takes are undermined or anything like that. I just want to give you some data points. So with Vegapunk, right? The dragon he created or resurrected or whatever, dragon number 13, that was actually a winged dragon. So that was the first thing I wanted to add. The second thing is you mentioned a winged dragon on the mural. I didn't even consider this with all of the dragon stuff I've been thinking about. So I greatly appreciate you bringing that up. That's going to be very, very useful for these dragon conversations. I greatly appreciate that. And then the third thing you pointed out was you said the dragon's blood spilled into the soil, and then the tree grew, and then the dragon's blood can grant wishes and stuff like that. I forgot who I was talking to last week. We were actually having this discussion about granting wishes in One Piece, and I was thinking it would be pretty awesome if the One Piece was a Dragon Ball because obviously Oda loves Toriyama. Obviously, he loves Dragon Ball. We know this with many of his interviews. So, if there was the One Piece and it was a Dragon Ball, something you make a wish with, then that could show you how the person that gets the One Piece can take over the world, right? And then you could think about how Roger got to Laugh Tale and he was like, oh, we're too early. And with Roger learning the true history of the world, he therefore knew the past Joy Boy. He therefore knew what was going to happen. He knew the prophecies, all type of stuff like that. So you can look at Roger as a character who was, from our perspective, at least a good guy, right? And he didn't want to waste that Dragon Ball. He wanted to wait for Joy Boy's return to utilize that Dragon Ball, the wishing ball, for Joy Boy to make that wish. And narratively, it's like only Joy Boy would know exactly what to wish for. Only Luffy would know exactly what to wish for. But you went in a lot of awesome different directions. There's many things that I thought was awesome. You also said in that story, an elephant killed a dragon. I'm sure you already think about this, but that makes me think of Zunisha killing a past dragon, and then that was why he got punished for
the
a
great crime.
Yeah, exactly. You said many awesome things, but I got to move on to the super chats and then get Brill in here, get SL in here, and Wordplay. If you're still sticking around, I'll be more than happy to pull you back in because you had a lot of awesome points, bro.
I would love to, but I gotta get started for the day. I
All right, brother.
Things. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Awesome takes. Even if maybe you can't, come back for more open mic, at least try to hop in the Discord or another future stream because I really like the thoughts. And also, I'm pretty sure you've been to this stream before. I think you were posting like some One Piece theories that had to do with the concept of wordplay. And I was like, oh, his name checks out.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with how like Oda does some things because I even brought like some like a funny one with like Vivi and how she goes with Morgan's and his ship is like a teapot and literally being the idea to if Vivi's going to come back to the story, then they would have to literally spill the tea to get the information.
That's true. All right, brother. Good talking to you, man. I hope to see you soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Talk to you later, bro. All right, chat. Let's get into the super chats. And then once we knock those out, we're going to get Brill into the open mic. After we chop it up with Brill, we're going to get SL and chat. If anyone else wants to join the open mic, guys, I highly suggest joining now. Okay. We got the StreamYard link at the top of the stream chat. We got the StreamYard link in the stream description. You guys should be able to find it. It's on the Discord. It's on Twitter. Join because we got a chapter coming up this week. So I might not be able to squeeze in an open mic during this week, but we will definitely have one the following week because this week we're going to have short summary 1156, long summary 1156, chapter reaction 1156. And then we know after 1156 is another break. Okay. So if you guys want to do open mic, now's the chance. Otherwise it's going to be some time. But with the first super chat, Wong Woku with the $300 super chat. Thank you, brother. God bless, man. Thank you. He says, let's go. Anyone who wants to debate Shanks was the one speaking to the Gorsei. Jump in because the Shanks is a rat agenda is dead. Now, we did kind of chop it up a little bit regarding that topic. I don't think it makes any sense for people to argue that Shanks is trying to turn his back on Luffy, trying to sell Luffy out. That just makes no sense at all. For many different reasons, whether it's like, why didn't Shanks do this sooner? Why didn't Shanks kill Luffy? Why did Shanks pretty much like manufacture the scenario for Luffy to eat the Nika fruit? Why is Shanks sitting alone on the shore of islands, smiling and crying, reading Luffy's newspapers? It doesn't make any sense. We know Shanks' character. We know he has the Celestial Dragon blood, but he's not working for them. We see this theme constantly in One Piece. Look at characters like Sabo, who was born into an aristocrat family. Does he have an aristocratic nature? Of course not. Sabo believes in revolution. He believes in freedom. He believes in liberty. He doesn't believe in divine monarchy. Look at Sabo's character. So we have many of these examples in One Piece. So yeah, Shanks turning his back on Luffy doesn't make any sense. If it's Shanks ratting on Blackbeard, we talked about that as well. Because Shanks could perceive Blackbeard as a bigger threat than the world government. So therefore, Shanks warning the world government about Blackbeard makes sense from that perspective. Because if Shanks knew that Blackbeard could destroy the world more than the world government has, then why would he not warn the world government? He might not like the world government. He might not be friends with the world government. He might not have allegiance to the world government. But if Blackbeard is a threat 2 times bigger, it makes sense that he would go to the world government because my my enemy's enemy is my friend, right? So appreciate that super chat, brother. We got a big now with the 100. God bless you, man. He says Zebek probably died in the canal. Is that supposed to be the Panama Canal? The canal. Yo, someone has to enlighten me. Is this like some Gen Z stuff? Is this like a new One Piece meme? Zebek probably died in the canal. What canal? The Tequila Wolf Canal? What canal are we talking about here? The canal. I don't really know. Abigna, I feel slow right now. I feel embarrassed. Shanks is Brexit. Okay, what do you mean by in the canal? Thank you for the super chat, Abigna. God bless. I feel so dumb that I don't know what you're talking about, that I don't know what you're referencing. Died in the canal. Yeah, I don't really know. You know, I was talking to King J about this earlier because maybe it connects to Zebek and Blackbeard, Abigna, but spoiler alert, Naruto spoiler alert. If anyone plans on going into Naruto or reading Naruto, you should probably close your ears right now because there's something in the Naruto plot that might relate to Blackbeard and Zebek. And I've been thinking, and maybe not even then, maybe it relates to someone else in One Piece. And I've been thinking about this, and I wonder if this is possible. So if you are planning on reading or watching Naruto, you should mute the stream for the next 2 minutes, okay? So I have to put the earplugs in. Here. They're in. All right, for the next 2 minutes, canal these nuts fit in your mouth. You're not funny. You're not funny, scumbag. Thank you for the super chat. So look, what I'm saying is in Naruto, right? In Naruto, we know that there's a character named Toby. And throughout the Naruto post-time skip, Toby keeps claiming to be Madara, right? And that was a complete lie. Toby isn't actually Madara. Toby was actually Obito the whole time. My point is, will Oda replicate something like that in One Piece? Will there be a character in One Piece that claims to be a certain person, but he's really not? Maybe it's just for the lulz. Maybe it's for an idea. Maybe it's for a scheme. Maybe it's for the plot. Maybe it's for Blackbeard. Maybe it's for Zebek. Could Zebek be pretending to be Blackbeard, putting his soul into Blackbeard's body? Something like that. So think about it. Toby being Obito, claiming he's Madara, but he's really Obito, and something like that in One Piece. All right, and that's it for the Naruto. That's it for the Naruto. You're not funny, Abigna. You're not funny. And Brad W. With the 2. God bless, brother. Thank you so much. I'm back. Buggy is Roger. Chat, is Buggy Roger? I think Buggy is Roger. I think that's just too high IQ for people. Too high IQ for people. I feel like there's levels to this One Piece theory. This One Piece theory stuff. Some One Piece theories is just, it's too smart. It's just too high level thinking. It's just too genius that a lot of people wouldn't understand, Brad. God bless. Thank you for the super chat. I think, hey, I was quitting the Rocks D Buggy agenda. I was done with it, right? But the whole One Piece community is dying on the hill for Rocks D Buggy, which me, Three Skull Joe Theories, and King J brought to the forefront. So I feel like I should be defending Roxy Buggy. Should I not? Should I not? Thank you, Brad. Did you see the Netanyahu podcast? I'm not watching that trash. I watched one segment. I almost threw up. I watched one segment. I almost puked. This man Netanyahu was saying like, we send in. Nah, you know what? I got to do a caricature just because he's such a scumbag. Yeah, the thing is that we tried to ship in the food supplies into the West Bank, into Gaza, but Hamas, they just keep stealing the food and they have to sell it off to the starving Palestinian. Bro, you are I want to say it. You are, chat. Someone finish it for me. I'm trying to fall back a little. I'm trying not to be, out as outlandish as I am, usually. But I watched that and I was just like, you are, you are they who shall not be named. Voldemort, the Voldemort tribe. Bro, I need to stop. See, like I'm sure you didn't have any like ill intentions with that chat message, but you know how I am, bro. To me, these things are bait. But Pakes, the one and only Pakes with that 19 months. Bro almost has 2 years worth of memberships. God bless Pakes. Thank you so much. Pakes, we're always praying for you. Peanut Butter and Jelly, we're always praying for you. Eli, we're praying for you. All the people in the chat, we're always praying for you guys. But guys, if you just now tuned in, drop a like on the stream, subscribe if you're new, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. If you want to join the open mic, the link is at the top of the stream chat and it's in the YouTube description if you can't find it for some reason. As of today, this channel is 2 years old. Hey, chat. Are we a vet to this at this point? Are we vets? This channel alone, 2 years. My first channel, I don't even know, maybe like 4 years. And I was making theories before I started YouTube. Chat, we're vets now, man. We're vets to this stuff, bro. Thank you all for being here. I couldn't do any of this without you guys. I would not be here right now doing open mic if I didn't have such a great community, great friends, supporters, homies, all of you guys being here with the memes, the theories, the hot takes, reading One Piece. I literally can't do this without you guys. I need you guys. So God bless all of you. Thank you guys so much. 2 awesome years. And it's time to get back into the open mic session with our first person of round 2 being Brill. All right, Brill, you there? Maybe Brill had to step away. Brill, you're muted.
What's good? What's good?
Yo, what's up, man?
How you doing, Rivo?
Doing great. How about yourself, bro?
Yeah, I'm chill. Just chilling. Like, came back from work.
Oh, you just got off work. So you must be in the East then. Unless you were like, all right, man.
Currently living in Malaysia.
Oh, he's currently living in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, brother. So did you have any theories, hot takes, predictions, questions? Was there anything else or anything you wanted to chop up?
Yeah, like I had a couple theories that I wanted to talk to you about. Like one in particular kind of leads off like Wordplay was saying, the guy who was in there before.
Wordplay, yeah.
Yeah. So like the whole celestial dragon shit. Sorry, can I swear on the stream? Don't know.
Yeah, you could. I don't, but you could.
All right, cool. So yeah, the whole celestial dragon like contrast with the Will of D and stuff. So like I was just thinking about how like the Holy Knights, like they're obviously the main objective of Dragon. He's thinking about how he's gonna take them down. And like the Holy Knights, like it seems like they take a little basis from like the Knights of Templar, like you were talking about how like they're a military force, like the Knights of Templar were obviously a Christian military unit in the medieval period. Well, and like I was just thinking about how like Dragon is obviously he clearly represents a dragon. Like there's that one cover page of him in a handcuff where he's wearing a dragon shirt and he has a dragon on the shirt and it's actually a winged dragon. Like and obviously like in like medieval like mythology and stuff, like knights are known for slaying dragons and stuff. Like there's obviously like
Hey, bro, I think your mic is going in and out for some reason. Are you able to, I don't know, maybe get closer?
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. I heard the majority of what you were saying. Dragons and Monkey D. Dragon being a dragon.
Yeah, so like there's obviously like the dichotomy between knights and dragons, right? So like dragons are depicted like negatively, like they kind of associate with like Satan and like the devil, and like knights was obviously associated with like the Christian church and stuff. Wait 1 second, sorry.
No problem. What is GalaxyCon? What is that? Wait, Sean Terry, what are you referring to though?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, welcome back.
Yeah, so like obviously we know Dragon is depicted as a, like in reality he's a good moral character. Like he's a character who's kind, and obviously he's fighting for the freedom of the people. And the Holy Knights are like essentially the most evil enemies we've had, antagonists we've had in the story. So like I like the kind of irony that Oda's doing there, where like you have knights who are like typically depicted to be good, and dragons who are typically depicted to be bad, but like in One Piece it's the opposite. But like it made me think of something that Rosie Nante said that you brought up when he was talking to Law, and he was talking about how like when he grew up in Merijoa, like he remembers that the elder celestial dragons used to use the D like to scare the kids, like, oh yeah, D is gonna eat you up, like, and stuff like that. And he said that anytime like a Willa D member would become famous, like the celestial dragons would get like like weary and like scared and anxious and stuff. And it makes me think like potentially like Doflamingo and Rosie Nante, like, and other celestial dragons, they they might have been like rocks these a bit might have been used like as a kind of deterrent for bad behavior. Like they might like for, you know how like they might have said stuff like, oh yeah, if if you misbehave, rocks is gonna get you, or something like that. And like obviously we know Rocks went to Marijuana, and like he did the craziest incident we've ever seen there. And it just oh yeah, this ties into like Shanks and stuff, but like we obviously saw that Rocks uses what appears to be a saber, right? Like a saber type weapon, a saber cutlass. Like I'm leaning more towards saber, because like obviously the saber is a Blackbeard ship and stuff. If I think that's the name of his ship, Saber is it? Or
Yeah.
yeah. So like I actually, and I like in the recent chapters, like we know Shanks said he met Harold in the Holy Land, and it made, and like I feel like in Elbaf Oda's kind of been trying to highlight like a parallel between Shanks and Rocks, like where like they both like they influenced a young kid who wanted to join their crew, like Colin and Loki, and then they constantly rejected them, like and like obviously Luffy and Loki as well. Luffy admires Shanks, Loki admires Rocks, and I was thinking like maybe Shanks is the current user of Rocks' saber, Griffin, and like obviously it makes a lot of sense given like Shanks is, he's clashed with Whitebeard, like he's a Yonko level character. It makes sense that like if somebody's gonna inherit Rox's weapon, it'd be one of the strongest people in the current generation. and it would obviously parallel Odin and Zoro, because like Zoro inherited Odin's weapon. But then, like, it makes me think, like, did Harold clash with Shanks when he joined? Bro, man, didn't want stream. Yo, why are these people doing this to me? Yo, why are we doing this?
No, that was funny, but because I want to respond to the Shanks thing real quick. So at least we see Shanks knock out Kid. We could try to look at that or those panels and ask ourselves, is the nature of the sword or the attacks similar to the nature of the sword in the attacks that we've seen from Zebek? Because
You know what? That's it. That's a good.
go
Yeah, that's a good thing you just brought up there. Like, we when Shanks actually attacked Kid, it resembled more of a cannon hammer impact rather than like a slash, a typical slash that we see. Because like Kid actually wasn't like cut. It seemed more like he got hit by a shockwave, which is extremely similar to what Rox did to Loki. Like, if you look at the panel of Kid getting hit and compare it with Loki getting hit, it actually looks quite similar.
I'm looking at 1079 Shanks hitting Kid, and it makes a circular impact rather than like a slash. I have to look at the other one we just said, Zebek. Let me pull that up. But you actually made me go and double check because you were talking about Dragon at first. So I went and double checked right now. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, but on the Revolutionary Army flag, that dragon has wings. So earlier when I was talking to wordplay, I mentioned how with dragon's name, it's katakana of dragon. So it's unclear if dragon refers to serpentine or winged. But if you look at the revolutionary flag, there's wings there. So perhaps dragon, Monkey D. Dragon, fits in with the winged dragons. And then you were mentioning celestial dragons earlier along with wordplay. So the celestial dragon would be Ryu, which would be serpentine. So now that makes sense because Monkey D. Dragon fits the winged dragons, but then the celestial dragons they're not winged, they're serpentine. So you already see that that contrast right there, and perhaps that goes even deeper. Maybe the ancient kingdom, maybe they had like friends or I don't know, like crew members or like some kind of nobility or nobles with winged dragons, and then they went against Emu, who maybe Emu is part dragon but serpentine dragon. But you raised a lot of interesting things, like you also talked about Knights of Templar and One Piece flipping that. But I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place. I'm looking at Zebek versus Harold right now, and it's not that far off between like the way it's drawn and then Shanks versus Kid. Like I see what you're saying.
I meant like Shanks hitting Loki, not clashing with Harold.
Oh, Shanks hitting Loki.
You know when the narrator talked about like the style of Rox's swordsmanship being akin to a hammer or cannon. Yeah.
What? So you said Shanks hitting Loki? What chapter was that?
Shanks hitting Kid compared to Rox hitting Loki. So like, yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Zebek hitting Loki was 1155, where he punched him in like the thigh, like the lower part of his body.
Yeah, when he hit him in the lower part of his body. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, because his sword is to his left. It looks like he swung the sword.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you basically think Zebek. Let me reword this. You think that Shanks inherited Griffin from Zebek?
No, I think he inherited Griffin not from Zebek, but like he found it on his travels or journey. Like he found it during his travels and journey. So obviously rocks fell at God Valley. I don't know what happened to his ship or his weapon, but I think ultimately his weapon ended up somewhere and Shanks found it. And then Shanks, like, you know how the weapon has to choose the user. Like, Griffin accepted Shanks in the same way, like, Enma ultimately ended up accepting Zoro.
Hmm. Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, because
And
like if
like that,
Shanks is such
yeah,
a
go on.
Shanks is such a legendary character and he has a sword called
Yeah,
Griffin, you have to wonder, like, okay, well, how did
yeah,
that happen?
yeah,
Hmm.
that's true. It'd be pretty interesting if Shanks ended up naming. Well, obviously it's just a headcanon, but like if Makino's kid is Shanks's kid, like it would be pretty interesting if like he named his kid Griffin, like in the same way Roger named his son after his weapon, like Phil and Griffin, the next generation.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, but
Really interesting. I haven't heard anyone talk about this.
yeah,
God, I'm gonna be thinking about this one. Because like
yeah,
I don't really get the impression that like Shanks does slashes. I might be forgetting something, but I think the only time we've really seen Shanks attack with a sword was because I don't really
yeah,
count like a clash with Akainu. So it's
yeah,
really just Shanks versus Kid, right?
yeah.
Hmm. It's really, really interesting. That's definitely possible. I'm gonna think about that some more.
Yeah, and that like onto like the whole Blackbeard stuff where like Shanks and Blackbeard, we know like Blackbeard obviously he has the darkness fruit, and like you could see the contrast between him and Luffy, with Luffy representing the sun, and then Blackbeard representing darkness, embodying like a black hole. We know he has that technique and stuff. Well, guys, still, nah, sorry about that.
They're all just roasting each other, man.
No, it's all good. So yeah, Blackbeard obviously he embodies darkness, and like the black hole technique is his most iconic technique we can obviously remember, and it was making me think about Rox's own fruit because Blackbeard is obviously Rox's son. Seems like, well, pretty much it was said, and like a black hole is obviously born from the death of a star, and obviously a supernova explosion. And there's a lot of like astronomical references in the series, like obviously the Gorosei are named after the 5 planets. Um, they obviously work for Emus, the king of the world, sun god Nika, and there's a lot of references to like astronomy throughout the story, and it was making me think like if Rox is the captain of Whitebeard, he's depicted. He's obviously has the best feats so far to date of all of these top tiers. What kind of fruit power would he have that would really fully reflect his position and like the status that Oda's given him? And you have Whitebeard has set such a high bar in terms of like he has the fruit, the Tremor Paramecia, which can apparently destroy the entire world, like marine forward and everything. I was thinking maybe Rox has like the star Logia or something akin to like a galaxy fruit or fruit that allows him to create like different types of celestial objects like planets, aurora, meteors, stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is sick. I'm not even gonna lie. Would that be a paramecia or a logia? Probably a paramecia, right?
The thing is, like I could see it for both. Like it could be like a sun paramecia or like a star logia. Like the thing is, somebody said the exact same thing as you, where they were like, it sounds like it'd be more suitable as a paramecia, and I obviously thought about that, and like I started thinking, yeah, because like Star it's kind of made up of a lot of different things, not just one thing like flame or smoke but like we have obviously Greenbow, right? Who's a forest logia, and forest has different like it's made up of different constituents. Like it's made up of like trees, flowers, and stuff like that. So I was thinking, yeah, that the star logia, if this hypothetical fruit existed, it'd be akin to that.
It's very fascinating. We're I'll give my final thoughts on this, and then we got to move on to the next person. But wow, I would love like a star kind of like cosmological, like a cosmic type of devil fruit in One Piece. That would be very, very sick. It almost makes me think about like Fujitora. I know he's more about
Yeah,
gravity, but at least he could bring down meteors and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, like a star devil fruit, like something cosmic would be really, really fascinating. And I mean, you raise a good point. If he's being portrayed as this notorious and this strong and this powerful, you got to wonder, okay, well, what is this devil fruit? And I guess like
yeah,
someone could pose the argument that there are very, very strong characters in One Piece that are hockey only, but I feel
mhm.
like Zebek is almost being portrayed as like above that, like
Yeah, the pinnacle of both. Yeah,
the pinnacle above. Like he has the supreme level hockey, but that's not it. Like he also has a really good devil fruit. So really,
yeah.
really interesting stuff. Is there any last things you want to add?
Last things I wanted to add. Like honestly, in terms of just like that whole, just a bit to add on that star logia thing. Like imagine conceptually the idea of like a moon, like the moon, because obviously the moon holds a lot of significance in One Piece, right? Like we saw Whitebeard like tremor the seas, and he created these giant tsunamis in Marineford. And at the time, it was the largest AOE feat we saw in the story. But like we know, obviously the moon is what produces the tides, like the sea tides, right? So like when the sea flows inward and outward from like beaches and seasides, like it's because of the gravity of the moon, right? So if the moon was brought closer to the earth, like so the moon was brought closer to the earth or was literally dropped onto the earth like a meteorite, the gravitational field of the moon would be felt by the earth far more strongly, and the level of tsunami, like it's like at the position it is at currently, it creates tides. But like if it was brought down like a meteorite, it would create tsunamis across the entire globe. Like, and just the idea of that, just being capable of doing that would just far surpass Whitebeard, and I think it'd be
Oh yeah,
perfect for Rock.
that's just planet destruction. It's planet level.
Yeah,
All right, bro. The really, really interesting thoughts. We got to move on to the next few people though. But if you want to stick around, we might have time to pull you back in, bro.
yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate all the great takes, man. I'm gonna be thinking more about Zebek having Griffin. All right, chat. I see you guys just going nuts in the chat, just roasting each other. I saw who was it? Someone told RBBP that he is the Timu Blackbeard. That's insane. Me personally, like as a man, I would never let someone just talk to me like that. But see, like we're all different people, you know? Like some people, they kind of fall back. Some people, they defend themselves. Some people they got, testosterone. Some people, they're more in their femininity, But for me, like me personally, like I would not let someone call me Blackbeard Timu, but that was crazy. But Viswa, God bless. Glacier, my boy. Cold Kick, I'm glad to see you here. Yo, chat. Shout out to Cold Kick. Shout out to Cold Kick. If you guys follow me on Twitter, the other day I posted a theory full thread, a full theory on what was it about? Oh, Emu possibly being based on a character from an old game called Ocean Hunter. The final boss in it, it's kind of like, it looks a little bit like Emu. We have ideological parallels of Emu. For one, we have the visual parallels of Emu. We have emotional parallels of Emu in that thread. So if you guys go to my Twitter, look for, I think I called it Emu versus Rahab, Rahab, Emu versus Rahab, a One Piece theory, if you guys want to go check it out. But the reason that I'm mentioning this is because Cold Kick sparked that theory. So shout out to Cold Kick, chat. Let's get some Wold Kicks in the chat. Let's get some Wold Wicks in the chat. Wold Wicks. Shout out to Cold Kicks. Stretch, God bless. Bro has the same theory as me. Hey, that should make you feel even more excited about your take. You know, if you see other people having the same theory as you, that should let you know, like, hey, there might be some merit to my theory. Now, you don't want to, how do I say this? You don't want to like, you don't want to use that as evidence. You don't want to say like, oh, well, another piece of my theory, like another evidence for my theory, is that a whole bunch of people agree with it, because that's not really a form of evidence. But, you know, you should, you know, be a little happy about it and be like, you know what, like, other people like the theory, to think the same thing as me, whether they spoke to me or not. That should let you know that maybe you're onto something, you know. Visual parallels between Hody and Blackbeard, though, can't believe it. Yeah, young Hody Jones looks exactly like Blackbeard. It's kind of strange. It's kind of weird. I don't know, bro. Davy Jones, Van Recken, Glacier Gang. Shout out to chat, sending blessings to all. Yo, chat, sending blessings to everyone. This channel, which is my second channel, is, as of today, 2 years old. Couldn't do it without you guys. What is the character's name? It's Rahab, or Rahab. I don't know how you guys want to pronounce it. Rahab. Just go on my Twitter. I have the thread there. But we're going to pull in our next speaker. Chat, if anyone wants me to really read their message, but they can't get into the open mic, or you know, it's hard for me, they can't get their message read in the regular chat, then at least, guys, super chat it, because we're doing sessions. We're doing what do you call it? We're doing segments. I keep forgetting the word. We're doing like segments this stream. One segment is for open mic, then the next segment is for super chats, then open mic, then super chats, open mic, super chats. Okay, guys. All right, let's pull in Mr. SL. Welcome back, bro.
Yo.
Yo, what's good,
Can you hear
bro?
me
Glad
good?
to have you back. Hear you great.
Awesome. All right. So I was thinking about what topics we could discuss, but I was thinking from the last stream, you guys had that was one of them that I was thinking. I know you're thinking that, but one of them was actually going to be the matchups for Blackbeard's crew, because the last stream y'all all discussed it, and I wanted to get in on that convo, but I was like, because I have my own ideas for like Sanji's matchup, for example. Like, I think he's gonna fight Lafitte, actually, which a lot of people, I think, sleep on Lafitte a little bit with the potential, because they see him as like, oh, he's the navigator or whatever, or he's like the fifth or whatever Titanic captain, but he's also the chief of staff, which is, you know, so people kind of sleep on that, because Saba is the chief of staff, but he's the second strongest in the revolutionary. And we constantly see how Lafitte is portrayed side by side with Shiryu, who is Blackbeard's right hand man and like vice captain. So that would parallel with Sanji and Zoro being side by side a lot. And so I do think that Lafitte has actually just been hidden, like his strength has been hidden, because Oda has kind of not really revealed much. He's right next to Blackbeard. He's the most mysterious person on the crew. So, and he's always also whispering in Blackbeard's ear, like he's like the devil in his ear, like, hey, you should kill Kuzan, take his power. Like, Yeah, this man is like on some schemes. Like, but so yeah, I do think it would be interesting if Lafitte fights Sanji. I could see that being a thing. That's the thing I'm going with. Could be wrong, but we'll see. What do you think about that?
I really like talking about the Blackbeard matchups just because like there's barely any information to cling to. Now, in terms of the rankings within the Blackbeard crew, you raise a really good point with the Sabo being chief of staff and then Lafitte. That's really interesting. I never thought about that. So thank you. That's something new that I could add to my arsenal. But, when it comes to like One Piece theories, predictions, takes, whatever, expectations, there's certain topics that I feel strong about, and then the other topics where I'll have a take, but it's not something I would die on the hill for. So in terms of the Blackbeard matchups, this is one of those things where I definitely hold a position, but it's not something that like I would really like butt heads and really try to hold down and defend. So for me to truly articulate it, what I would say is when I look at the potential matchups, I look at it from a personality perspective. So I go off of the very little information we have about each of the Blackbeard characters and see if, from a personality perspective, if they have matchups. So if we look at Lafitte, I feel like personality-wise, him being a slender white man with a stick, I feel like that fits really well with Brook. And Brook is like a musician. He plays the piano. He's a pianist. Whereas Lafitte is like a tap dancer, I think, or something like that. And now I want to go and pivot to Pizarro. One of the very few things we know about Alvaro Pizarro is that he's a tyrannical king from the North Blue. And being that Germa is from the North Blue, Sanji's from the North Blue, and Sanji's known as like a royal prince, I think there could be something there. Maybe Alvaro Pizarro has some type of past with Germa in the North Blue. Maybe his personality of being a king can have some kind of conflict with Sanji being like a prince in some type of fashion. So like when I talk about like what I see Sanji's matchup being in the Blackbeard Pirates, I take that personality approach. So I would say like Sanji being a North Blue prince versus the North Blue king of Alvaro Pizarro. And then I would say Lafitte being a white slender musician with a stick versus Brook, a white slender musician with a stick. Then Katarina being always very obsessive with beautiful women. Now you could have One Piece fans talk about how Robin is beautiful or whatever, but I believe in the One Piece story, the idea of being like a really like hot, sexy, beautiful girl is more so being used towards Nami more often than it's being used towards Robin. So I would say that Katarina would go against Robin, and then so forth.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Katarina fights Robin for sure because I think Nami is gonna be the weakest, obviously, other than Usopp right now, who is the weakest. But he's gonna somehow have to fight Van Augur. Like you always say, how is this man gonna beat him? But I mean, Yasop's gonna get that one snipe across the world. I helped my son out that one time. We're good. Call it even. We're done. No,
Across the world is insane, bro. This man. Yo, if Yasop has to, like you said, one last thing for his son, snipe Van Augur across the world, it's gonna have to be like a wall bang. It's gonna have to go through like a building or something.
Number one,
bro's gonna hit a no scope wall bang.
But yeah, I know most people say Brook with the Lafitte thing. I definitely think it's either gonna be Brook or Sanji. I do just prefer Sanji though, just because I feel like Lafitte is a more interesting like fight if he ends up actually being as strong as I'm hoping he is. I just don't think Pizarro is all that great for like a feat, I guess, for Sanji to beat. Like, I just don't see him as like being all that great. He just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I want something better for Sanji. So
Otis having, you're right. I mean, Otis having Pizarro in like his back pocket, but you know what? There might be a legit reason for that. So even though like Alvaro hasn't showcased anything interesting or really anything at all, maybe Oda's saving Alvaro Pizarro, and there's all this room to give him a whole bunch of lore, a whole bunch of depth, maybe a cool. We don't know what his devil fruit, right?
Yeah. Oh, you mean Lafitte or
Alvaro Pizarro.
Pizarro? Oh, the one you mean like the big one where he's like the island or whatever? I'm not sure exactly what it is, but
Wait,
it's kind of
that's
similar to Pika,
oh,
but
dude.
different.
I was mixing up Alvaro's
With
fruit
with
with
the oh
with someone else. Who was I mixing him up with? Like, I thought Alvaro Pizarro didn't have a named fruit. I thought the island
I
fruit
don't
was
remember
someone
what it is.
else.
Oh, is that what it is? The island fruit? Yeah, because it's similar to Pika, but it's different.
Huh.
The negative that he has though is like he can get damage from if you damage the parts of his body, unlike Pika who doesn't take damage from it. So it's kind of like it's kind of like I don't know. I
Hmm.
just feel like I want something better for Sanji than that. I don't think
No, I
Pizarro's all
understand
that,
that.
but
No, I understand that.
because it's like the wings of the Pirate King and all that. Well, that's the crazy thing too, because when you think about it, and other people have raised this point recently, which I've been thinking about, is like if you think about like Rayleigh and Scopper, their legend is like far beyond Zoro and Sanji at this point, and we're getting towards the end of the story, so Oda's really gonna have to like speed run their legacy because they both need like way more feats, way more everything. Like, dude, it's crazy because like even in Saboti, like they're like, oh my god, I've read. There's so many books about Rayleigh in the world. I've read. Is this guy this Rayleigh? Like, dude, these guys are like so legendary. So Zoro and Sanji really got to catch up. Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of
Yeah,
how
I
I look
mean,
at it, I guess.
going back to Usopp, that's even worse, bro. He has to catch. I don't know how that's gonna happen, yo. And I'm almost worried because I don't want Oda to rush because I feel like when you rush, there's room for error.
Yeah, it's not so much of a rush, but it's just kind of a concern of like how much time do we have left in the story to fit all their stuff in with everything else that's also being fitted in. Because it's like there's still a lot left. Like there's still potentially Admiral flashbacks, which personally want. Maybe not everybody does, but I want the Admiral flashbacks. Obviously, we gotta get the Mihawk backstory, the Shanks backstory, the Dragon backstory, possibly some of the other revolutionaries. Like he'll probably just do some of them really fast all together or something. Then we got to get like the first world stuff, the second world stuff, finish off the God Valley stuff. So and then Davy Jones, like bro, we got so much to cover still, and
Hey,
all the
I'd love it, yo.
fighting.
I'm here. I'm here for another 10 years, 15 years.
I think it's honestly going to be like I don't know, man. It's hard to say, but I feel like it's going to be like within 7 years. I feel like 7 years he can possibly get it all done.
So,
But
hey,
it's yeah.
with this exact topic, I was messaging the homie Evil Snubby the other day about this, and I don't want to go too long on this because I do want you to have your time to shine to speak on here. But I was thinking the rest of One Piece would probably go like this. I think Elbaf would have 65 chapters because Whole Cake Island had 75 and Egghead, which seemed to come out of nowhere, was 68. So because Elbaf was teased all the way since Little Garden 1,000 chapters ago, I feel like 65 chapters is fair for Elbaf, and we're only 36 in. And after this arc would be Blackbeard, 55 chapters, and I feel like we would have to learn about Blackbeard's nature, Blackbeard's history, more about the God Valley, more about Zebek, and then have, you know, the Straw Hats versus Blackbeard arc actually last and matter. Then Laugh Tale, which would be 20 chapters. You can compare this to Odin's flashback in Wano, which was 20 chapters. And if anything, Laugh Tale should be even longer than 20 for the Will of D, the Full History, Joy Boy Nika, Devil Fruits, all that. Pre-Final War, 35 chapters, because Impel Down was kind of like the pre-Marineford, and that was 25. I feel like there's way more characters in the mix for pre-Final War to argue for 35 chapters. Then Final War would be 150. we look at Wano, which had like different, like 3 different acts. I feel like if we are gonna have all these characters in the final war, 150 chapters is fair and conservative. And the final war in Naruto was 200. So if Wano can be 149, I think final war could be 150 again with all these massive amount of characters. And then final epilogue of One Piece, like mini arc, 15 chapters to wrap up the story and all the loose ends. That would add up to 340 chapters. Oda does 34 chapters a year. So that means One Piece could end in 10 years if my predictions hold any weight whatsoever.
I get you.
But I spill all that to see what you think.
Yeah, so before, okay, so Oda kind of threw a wrench in everything when Emu all of a sudden showed up at Elbaf and kind of threw everybody off. Before that, I had sort of a linear idea of like towards the end of Elbaf, we're going to get information on the 4th road poneglyph, the man marked by flames, and then we're going to go pursue him after Elbaf. We're going to seek him out. That was my original idea, and then after that, we'd go to Laugh Tale and then into the final war. I'm still kind of like, at this point, I'm kind of teetering between like how I see the whole One Piece thing unfold with like, is it the very last like few chapters? Is it like going into the final war? Now I'm kind of like, because before I was like seeing it more as he discovers part of the One Piece or maybe it before going into the final war, but now I'm kind of switching to the other side of like, okay, it's the last thing that happens. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking with it. But as far as like the final villain thing, because I know we're gonna get into this, but
Hey,
yeah,
we
so like
can settle it once and for all.
yeah, I kind of see it more as like, so I do think, I guess we should discuss Rock too, because it's kind of a pivotal thing with it. I do think that Oda's been foreshadowing a pirate takeover. Like even with Impel Down, the pirates are like, yeah, the government's had their time. It's our time to be on top. And like they're listening to Vegapunk's message and stuff. And then we have Rock's like, I'm gonna come back. And then basically, in a sense, with Blackbeard's inherited will, he is the Zebek that returns to Emu. And then on top of that, when he talks to Herald and he's like, somebody's going to pull it off one day, that's kind of a foreshadow of like, okay, yeah. So, but I think that the reason, like, they didn't really seem to attack each other in the flower room, which is kind of weird, to be honest. But I feel like, personally, I feel like Rox was better in combat, but he just didn't probably have the means to beat him because of either, it could have been two things. It could have been both, and one of them I think is he needed to assemble a crew because the exact thing he did when he left was assembled a crew. So I think if he fought Emu, even if he could beat him, he probably couldn't finish him off because of his powers. So he probably needed backup to be able to defeat the whole Holy Land because he needed, like, even like when he said with Herald, like, if I recruited you, we'd have enough to topple everybody. So I think part of it is a numbers game of having more backup. And then I think the other part of it is he probably needed either the Yami Yami no Mi or the Nika fruit or both to completely defeat Emu and get rid of him entirely because he probably has some kind of ritual stuff going on that makes him really, really hard to finish off, type of a thing. That's kind of how I look at it. And so I think that, like, basically Blackbeard and Luffy are the culmination of that. So it's kind of like, yeah, I think Blackbeard's going to counter Emu since his devil fruit is basically implied and like subtextually, it's like basically it counters demons because it's like it sucks in like devil fruit abilities and it's literally like pulling in the demons to him like when he does the vortex in their body. So it's like, or whatever, the spirit. So, and Emu is a demon, so I see it as like the ultimate counter to Emu. And also he has parallels with Joy Boy because one of his moves is liberation. So it's kind of like he's like this twist version of Joy Boy almost. Almost kind of like how we see with the mural where it was like there's two sides where it's like what he's the god of war and destruction and then it's like he's the god of liberation and freedom and all this. So it's kind of like this like half and half. So I think what Oda's doing is very interesting to me because it's like he really threw a wrench in everything with the Emu coming to Elbath. and he's been talking about all this stuff about a battle royale, and kind of Marineford was kind of like that. And he said, you know, the final war is going to be way beyond that, which makes sense, of course. And so the way I see it is like we have all these characters that are going to clash and collide, so it becomes less of a linear path in my mind, and it becomes more of like this chaotic twist and turn that we're not going to see all these things coming, because Oda's just he's trying to make it really mix it up and make it really hard to predict, which I do like, honestly. So it's kind of like this clash of like all of these great characters in the final war dragon, and you know, Shanks, Akainu, Mihawk, Emu, Blackbeard, Luffy, everybody just coming together, and it's gonna be crazy. I have no, like, I don't know, and I kind of like not knowing. I like to have it unravel, I guess, you know. So that's kind of how I look at it, I guess.
Yeah, no, everything you say is fair. I understand. It's just you raise a lot of good points. It's just like I don't think you have an agenda. Maybe you do. I don't think you do. Do you? Would you
No,
say that
for
like
like
you have a
Blackbeard?
Blackbeard agenda?
No, I wouldn't say so. No.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
I
I will say
figured.
this. So in the past, I actually very much saw Emu as the final villain for a long time, for a lot of years, and I had like a lot of the same ideas of like the overshadowing, the parallels with Luffy, but it just gets a little bit crazy because Blackbeard also has parallels with Luffy and parallels with Emu, so it becomes like this three-party thing to me, and so that's kind of how I look at it. And oh yeah, the last thing that I was gonna say too, though, I do think that as Blackbeard I do think like Blackbeard will be able to counter and absorb Emu, but it will be more like so he has the three skulls, and people think, oh, three devil fruits. But the way I look at it is like three souls is like three personalities. One of them is Blackbeard, one of them's Rocks, and one of them's Emu. So when he absorbs Emu, all three of them will be fighting for control of the vessel, and possibly in that final battle with Luffy, or in like the final war, they'll all be like switching in and out, where it'll be like kind of different fight styles depending on which one's in control at the moment and stuff like that. That's what I could see personally, but we'll see. Yeah.
Mm. So, yeah, it doesn't sound like to me that you have like a pro Blackbeard agenda or like an anti emu agenda where it skews your view. And I'm kind of like the same way because I think Blackbeard is one of the best characters, best antagonists like ever. And it's interesting because Blackbeard hasn't even been completely fleshed out yet. But I'll still say that Blackbeard has like one of the most awesome narratives that I've ever seen. But you know, when you talk about Blackbeard having parallels with Emu, or I'm sorry, with Luffy, and then Emu having parallels with Luffy, I think that's a really important point because we have to identify what type of parallels are they having. So we have like emotional parallels, we have ideological parallels, we have character parallels, we have visual parallels. We have a bunch of different types of parallels that can help us narrow down with precision what it is that makes two characters relate. So what I noticed with Blackbeard, right, and Emu is that yes, I agree that they parallel Luffy, but I want to figure out in which way and in how. So what I've identified, what I've noticed at least, is that with Blackbeard, he's being portrayed as like the top pirate king, you know, the top pirate, like a pirate emperor kind of guy. Like that's what he's always geared towards. Now we could talk about how Blackbeard is the son of Zebek. So if Zebek wanted to be king of the world, then it makes sense Blackbeard inherited that will and he wishes to be king of the world. But we would also have to reconcile that with all of the focus he's had on becoming Pirate King and claiming the One Piece. Now, it makes sense to me that Blackbeard or Zebek having the belief that collecting the One Piece and using it would allow you to become king of the world. I think them having that belief makes a lot of sense. But let's take that into perspective because that could create this situation, this circumstance where Luffy and Blackbeard is about who can claim the One Piece. Luffy versus Blackbeard is about who can make it to Laugh Tale. Luffy versus Blackbeard is who's going to gather this treasure that's going to dominate the planet. But see, the thing here is that Emu is intrinsically tied to the world government, right? Emu is the king of the world. Emu rules the world. We know that the One Piece world government has been running the show for 800 years. So we have Emu and Blackbeard being portrayed in two different ways, where Blackbeard is a character that's gunning for the top versus Emu that's already sitting at the top. And we could compare this to many arcs in One Piece. Like maybe Luffy needs to go liberate let's say Luffy needs to liberate Skypiea because NL, he's ruling Skypiea. But then there's another factor of NL where he has a plan. He's trying to do something. He's gunning towards something like erasing Skypiea. Now, I think that could be applicable to Emu and Blackbeard. But the thing is it seems to me that Blackbeard gunning towards a position would necessitate that his defeat arrives prior to a character that's already established. So especially in the way that Emu's been established. So it's not that like I per se have like any anti-Blackbeard agenda or pro-Emu agenda. Like neither do you. It's not like I have an allegiance towards one and not the other or anything like that. But I think like that's an important thing to distinguish, especially with the nature of One Piece, because the whole reason why One Piece exists as an anime is because there's this legendary treasure named the One Piece, and this crazy civilization, they left it behind because that civilization was erased. So they left behind this crazy treasure. That all stems and is intrinsically tied to the world government, Emu. So it makes most sense to me that Luffy is going to have parallels with the top dog of who wants to go claim the One Piece and get this massive, powerful treasure. Even Vegapunk said it himself. Vegapunk said, whoever can claim the One Piece can change the world or destroy the world. So it almost seems like the One Piece is the prior step to then using it and destroying the world or changing the world. Even look at Luffy's dream. Luffy said that if he can make it to Laugh Tale and become the Pirate King, and we know that him claiming the One Piece would be on Laugh Tale, him claiming the One Piece would make him Pirate King, then Luffy can accomplish his dream. So it seems to me that Luffy would defeat Blackbeard to make it to Laugh Tale and have all 4 road poneglyphs to claim the One Piece and then go and liberate the world. And liberating the world would be taking down Emu. So I think it has to do with the nature of the characters of Emu and Blackbeard. I think that's what it is. And I think Emu is more towards the core of the story, especially since all of the buildup, right? We know since Jaya, us as readers, we know that the world government, the Gorsei, have been pulling the strings all the way since Jaya. So I think there's a reason for that. Oda wants to show the reader that there's a superpower, there's a world superpower called the world government. They are the ones pulling the strings for 800 years now. How is Luffy going to liberate the whole planet? It would be by taking down their leader, which would be Emu. Same thing as Dressrosa. How did Luffy liberate Dressrosa? Taking down its leader. So I think Blackbeard and Emu would be written in 2 different ways. And then the final thing that I'll add to this is that when Luffy first made it to Shabandi, right, in pre-time skip, and Luffy saw the red line, right, Luffy said, hey, the next time I cross this, I'll be the Pirate King. Now that holds merit because when Roger was at the end of the New World, he had his log pose and it kept spinning. Roger knew that there was one more island in the New World, right? That one more island ended up being Laugh Tale. So it makes sense that Laugh Tale is like this hidden secret island at the end of the New World that once you make it to that island and then you leave it and you cross the red line, you're back into paradise. You've now become the Pirate King. So what I would argue is that Luffy's prediction of the next time I cross the red line, I'll be the Pirate King is true. He will make it to that final hidden island in the New World, claim the One Piece, and literally, if you look at the One Piece map and how it's structured, he will leave Laugh Tale, go straight to Reverse Mountain, and then go straight again all the way to Marijois, and that's where he liberates the world, by defeating Emu. So yeah, that's how I would pitch it. And I totally understand Blackbeard, you know, possibly having 3 souls. I understand Blackbeard being the son of Beck. I understand Blackbeard's constant buildup. I respect all of that. I just think it's to serve the purpose of who is going to claim the One Piece, who's going to have the 4 road poneglyphs, who's going to make it to Laugh Tale. And that's going to be a huge, huge deal. Myself, I wouldn't say that, like, and I don't even know if you would say this either, but I wouldn't say that Luffy defeating Blackbeard, or I'm sorry, I wouldn't say that Luffy defeating Emu at the very end of the story undermines Luffy versus Blackbeard. I still think Luffy versus Blackbeard would be a huge, magnificent battle of huge magnitude that we've never seen. Who's going to claim the One Piece? And I'm sorry, one last point. Onto the topic of the final war, I think that points at the One Piece world government again. I think it makes sense that when Oda talks about the final war in One Piece that'll make Marineford look like a joke, it's not Luffy versus Blackbeard, it's Luffy versus the world government. So yeah, that's how I would see One Piece going. And yeah, I could be 100% wrong. Everything I could say could be false. And One Piece is not always linear. But I don't know. I just that's just how I see you know, at least like the major points of the plot going.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So some of the points that I make is like I see it as, so Rocks kind of failed in a way, and Roger kind of failed in a way. And I see it as like Luffy will succeed where Roger failed, and Blackbeard will succeed where Rocks failed. So that's the kind of the way that I look at it. But I also look at it as like, let me think. There was a lot there I was thinking of going into.
It goes many, many different
So
directions.
one thing with the Holy Land is like Emu comes to Elbaf and is like, oh, you know, I need to get reinforcements for the Holy Land because, you know, it's in a sea of flames and all this. So they're causing havoc there to the point where Emu is leaving, going there. And Blackbeard is gearing up. Like when they were attacking the gondolas or whatever's going on, they're watching the revolutionaries' movements. And I've been saying this for a long time, way before that happened. I said that Blackbeard and Dragon are gonna, or mostly Blackbeard, I thought, was gonna work around Dragon's plans and then work off of that as an opportunist, because he also attacked Dragon's base, possibly saw some of his plans, maybe, who knows. But either way, they're watching the revolutionaries' movements, and so it seems like there's going to be this movement that's going on right now in the Holy Land, and Blackbeard's like, get ready, lock in. He's like, we're not just here to watch on the sidelines. So something's going down, and it's going to be the revolutionaries, it's going to be Blackbeard. And I've always said for a long time, I think that Dragon fights Emu, because for me, it will only be satisfying that Dragon, his storyline ends with him reaching his goal, which ultimately is the core of the world government, not the Marines. We see he doesn't really focus on the Marines that much. He focuses more on the world government itself, the Gorosei, the Holy Knights. He mentions the Holy Knights, Emu. So I feel like Dragon needs to reach Emu. I know that some people want to see the fight with a Kainu and Dragon, and I understand that, but at the same time, you know, we both agree that Sabu should fight a Kainu. I just feel that for it to be satisfying for Dragon's storyline, that for his character arc, that he needs to reach his goal. It doesn't mean he has to defeat Emu, but he needs to put up a good fight and at least reach his goal. And so the way I saw it back then was that Dragon fights Emu. They both have like a really tough fight, and then Blackbeard, as an opportunist that he is, obviously just like in Marineford, shows up at the right moment. Boom. So then that's when he shows up, and that's when he usurps Emu, because Emu's weakened and catches them possibly off guard. And then boom, that's when he takes over. Emu takes their power. And that's how I've always seen it for a long time. So we'll see how it happens, but it does kind of seem like it's possibly moving into that direction right now.
See, I can respect that because you raise a fair argument, you know? Like you might disagree like with someone over anything, right? But if they raise a really good reason or a really good argument, you can respect it. Like Blackbeard is an opportunist. I can't disagree with that. He 100% is.
Yeah, and I've seen it like he's been waiting for the revolutionaries movements because they really play into his own plans as like a benefactor to creating the chaos and creating the scene, the scenario, the stage, setting the stage for him to have his arrival and his appearance, just like in just like he schemed and went to Impel Down and then went to Marineford. And so, and they're definitely getting active over there at the Holy Land right now. And
Yeah.
we're nowhere near Laugh Tale, so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. But as far as like Laugh Tale, I've always seen it as Luffy and Blackbeard both see the Pirate King as a stepping stone to something more. For Luffy, we don't really know what it is because Oda's still hiding the dream. For Blackbeard, it's mostly seems like the world. Now, maybe some people say that maybe Blackbeard has the same dream as Luffy, but a twisted version or like the opposite version of it. So there could be something to that too.
Yeah, most
But yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So and like, but we know like he wants the world just like Rocks did. So so ultimately, I think that's his like ultimate goal. It seems he wants to conquer the world. And so that's kind of how all that's going to play out is interesting. And I do think that the One Piece, it seems alluded that Joy Boy essentially like left behind some sort of almost like a surefire way of whoever gets this controls the fate of the world, like Vegapunk said. So it's like whoever gets the One Piece, nobody can stop him. Like Emu is sweating bucket. Like bro, he's like, yeah, like Oda has everybody in the shot. We're all vying for the One Piece. Emu is vying for it. Even the Marines are like, we need to get the One Piece. Like the Marines are joining the race way too late, but they're
Yeah,
joining. Like it's like, dude.
that's because there's a few things I want to point out. Like you raised it like a good I mean, it's not like a point because you're trying to necessarily like prove something, but you raise a good point where it's like even the Marines are talking about claiming the One Piece. That's actually something like I keep going back to that and it just like sticks out. It's like, really? Like the Marines are trying to claim the One Piece? Like strange. Like not in a bad way, but it's kind of like something you wouldn't really like expect, you know? Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, no, I get you. It's crazy, but it does feel like it's just like this like everybody's in the race right now. It's like Emu,
yeah,
Dragon, everybody. Even
yeah.
though Dragon's
Um,
goals, it would
yeah,
be more of a means to an end for him more than
yeah.
like same reason why other people would want it. But yeah.
Right. Earlier you were talking about like all the things that we have to wrap up in One Piece and you mentioned Admiral backstories and obviously like pretty much like everyone I talked to they want to see the Akainu backstory, but hey man, I want to see a really good Fujitora backstory, man. I want to see like what was it exactly that made him cut his eyes, you know, to erase his vision. I want to see his upbringing. Like, am I the only one that wants a Fujitora backstory?
Yeah, I mean, I could see Odo probably doing that. At the very least, he'll do a SBS, but I think he'll probably do.
Ah, come on.
I knew you no, he'll probably do something because that was too crazy with the blinding thing. Like he added all that in, so he'll probably do something at least. Like even if it's a quick one, like he'll probably do something for that. It is like Fujitora is an oddball one because it's like he's like one of those where it's almost like it would be obvious if he defaulted to the revolutionaries during the final war or something. Like everybody would see that coming. I do like so originally one of the guys that I talked to a lot, we have discussed a lot of possibilities with the Marines because he still clings to like the possibility that Akainu is going to, go AWOL and he's gonna create basically his own like Neo Marine faction, like his own basically like his own Yonko faction, but it's gonna be like a Neo Marine faction, and whoever supports him will go to his side, and then Green Bull either would stay with the world government or would go with Akainu since he's kind of like a Akainu fanboy for some reason, but he's also like a celestial bootlicker too, so it's kind of like you don't know which way he'll go. But Fujitora
It almost
obviously.
sounds like a sword kind of vibe. Is that what you're saying? Or
Yeah.
well,
Well,
okay.
the idea was like that Kobe. So we both have always agreed for years that no matter what, Kobe's gonna side with Luffy in the end. Right now, it's kind of a weird thing because Oda's like making him go on a hunt for Luffy or something. But I guess it's kind of like in God Valley where Roger and it's not the same, but where they teamed up. I don't see Luffy and Kobe teaming up on like a final villain. Kobe's not in that weight class, but I definitely think he'll be on Luffy's side and fight like somebody, some named person down the line somewhere. So I definitely think he's gonna side with Luffy in the end because it's Kobe. Like he's not gonna he's got like good justice, a good sense of justice. So I couldn't see him doing anything else. But I think it would be more of like a him being in Sword. So the way we looked at it was like Sword potentially could work with the revolutionaries, but I'm not too sure that's gonna happen exactly. But but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be I now with the Akainu thing, like for Fujitora, Kobe, and some of these guys, I definitely can see them like like switching sides or having some kind of thing happen there. But with Akainu, it was kind of like after he saw that Vegapunk message, and he didn't really have he like already knew about all the like the Lucia and everything and didn't really care. It kind of seemed like he's just going to stay loyal to the world government, but it's still possible. There's still a small chance that he could switch up at some point because he says it's like a kind of like a volcano ready to erupt because he's magma and he's like angry at the Gorosei and he's like talking back to him and all this stuff. But ultimately, he's just been like this pawn. At the end of the day, he's just been a fool. Really, is what he's been. So he may eventually realize his foolishness and revolt. There's a possibility that that could happen, but I'm still not sure about that anymore after the Vegapunk thing. But we'll see. It's possible, but we'll see. What do you think about all that, though?
I mean, I agree with all of it. I mean, even like jumping all the way back to Kobe, like I agree with you. Like Kobe is like being set up to have some kind of battle, and he already has the epithet of hero, which is interesting. But he's just not in the weight class, as you said, of like a final villain. Like, I don't know, man. And I'm a huge Kobe supporter. I say this all the time. I love Kobe. He's such an awesome character. His growth is complete insanity. But and like I was talking to people about this in the last open mic, where I totally understand. I totally see the parallels, the possible parallels of Kobe helping Luffy take down Blackbeard. That would parallel God Valley incident. I completely understand that. But if we're talking weight class, I don't know. Is Kobe going to be able to hang in that fight? Or even like Kobe helping Emu, or I'm sorry, Kobe helping Luffy against Emu. Is Kobe in that weight class? I don't know, man. I feel like it's kind of pushing it, but yeah, the Neo Marines, that's a really interesting one. Green Bull's an interesting character because, as you said, like he is a Celestial Dragon bootlicker. He is a fanboy for Akainu for whatever reason. But then by the same token, he has like some type of like friendship or relationship with Fujitora. So if Fujitora turns his back, makes you wonder, will Green Bull keep his allegiance? I don't know. I'm not sure. But on the topic of Marines and, world government officials turning their back on their crew or like their alliance, that's something that I always wonder, because I don't know if Oda would hold to a position where too many people are defecting, because if there's too many big names defecting, that might really undermine the threat of the world government and the Marines. Like generally speaking, like in One Piece and anime and manga, the enemy, the antagonist is like this unstoppable force. But if we have like all these Marines turning away, and we talk about Gorosei defecting and stuff like that, if they lose too many of the key players, it almost seems like, what's the chance of them winning? It would really just be Emu and then just screw everyone else, because we're talking like the Straw Hats, their Grand Fleet, the Revolutionary Army, probably all the territories Luffy has built friendships with. I don't know. It would almost undermine the threat of the world government and the Marines too much. So it's not that I'm necessarily opposed to certain Marines or admirals or people like that defecting, but I think there might have to be a line drawn in the sand somewhere.
Yeah, no, I feel that. So I would think that Kizaru, I mean, he kind of seems adamant about just being a cog in the machine. And then obviously we have Kong. I know a lot of people slander Kong or whatever, but I think he might like actually fight in the end at some point.
Uh,
Like when
Kong
when
shouldn't be
when we're in the
slandered.
Holy Land. Yeah,
Kong
like some
shouldn't be
people
slandered,
slander
man.
him, but
We got to see like his past. Like you reach a certain age where it's like, come on, man. Like, how
but
old is he? Like,
yeah,
do we even know his age?
I don't know. He's got to be older than Garp and Sengoku, but I don't know.
Do we know?
A little
Let me
bit at
see.
least older than them, I guess. I mean, he
Do
was
you
fleet
remember?
admiral before Sengoku, so
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to ask. Can you guesstimate when he was fleet admiral?
uh, no, I'm not sure. I mean, we know he was still fleet admiral. I don't know. Like even during the God Valley stuff, he was fleet admiral and stuff like that, and then the Shiki stuff later on. So I'm not sure.
Because if we want to use some kind of standard, Akainu became fleet admiral. Let's just say after Marineford, pre-time skip he was 53. So I'm trying to like guesstimate how old Kong would be then. But you said he was a fleet admiral before, so because
Right.
Sengoku's 79.
And the fact that he was a fleet admiral means he had to have been on par with admiral strength or beyond, because fleet admirals, like, basically he had to have been at least like on par with like minimum Fujitora, like in his prime at the minimum. But yeah, so he's definitely something to watch out for as a wild card. I also do still see Anel returning at some point. Have no idea how it's going to happen. Like, there's nothing really that we can say exactly how that would happen, but I think it would be interesting him as a wild card. So I would see it as like all these third parties, because if it's like a battle royale situation, I could see him coming in with like his robot army and everything. And he's tied to the moon lore, he's tied to like all that stuff, the mural, the lunar, like the moon and ice and stuff. So there's definitely a place for him, but I just have no idea. Like, Oda can make it happen somehow. And I don't see any reason why he would stay on the moon forever. Like, he's gonna get bored. Like, it's a no. He's like an egomaniac dude. He's not gonna just sit on the moon. There's nothing up there. Like, after he like reads the ancient stuff, whatever he was searching for, and discovers new knowledge, I feel like it would give him a perspective shift, and so he'll have a new mentality coming down. Where, but I would see him as like a third party. Like, people are like, he's not going to return to fight Luffy, and I'm like, dude, no kidding. I know, like, I don't think he's going to do that, but I think he's just gonna like actually like fight somebody else and have like just kind of his own thing. Like, I have no idea how Oda would do it, but it would just be cool to see him return stronger and fight. And the fact that he was the middle villain between Crocodile and Lucci, and they both have still returned and had something in the story, and they both grown much stronger. And so if he's the guy in the middle of those two guys, why wouldn't he return and be stronger too? And obviously, if he returns, he's not going to be the same strength, because that would just be pointless and like make no sense, and just, you know. So that's kind of how I look at that.
Yeah, so I'll give my final thoughts on that, and then we'll move on to the final open mic person, and then we'll wrap up the stream. But I don't know if this is like a black pill. This just popped in my head for like the first time when you were talking about NL. But let me know, chat, if this is like the ultimate black pill. So we know like NL was ruling Skypiea for a long time, right? NL wanted to just sit there and be the kami. He wanted to be the god of Skypiea, and he had an army. It was called God's Army, right? And we know that he ended up revealing that he had a dream of going back home or whatever to Fairyverse, and we learned that Fairyverse was the moon. Now, when we get NL's cover story and he's on the moon, we see that there's spaceships on the moon and there's space pirates. And later on in the cover story, NL actually gathers that army of moon people, right? Or some people call them the automata. Now, maybe the black pill is that NL, like how he used to live in Skypiea and be the god and the ruler of Skypiea with his own army, ends up just doing that on the moon. Like, maybe that's the direction that Oda wants to go with NL. Like, he finally goes to where because here's the thing, right? In Skypiea, NL actually, I keep going back to this panel in the official translations. NL actually said, from my hometown, meaning Burka, we know that the kami lives there. And when he says there, he's referring to the moon. He's referring to Veryverth. So it could be a scenario where NL's finally content, even though there's literally nothing to do on the moon. He's finally content living in Fairyverth, where the kami resides, where the god lives, where God lives, right? And he's just living up there with his army, the Automata army, and all the space pirates that continuously go to the moon, try to take I don't know, the Automata, whatever it is that they're going to the moon for. He's just fighting them off, kind of like how he used to run Skypiea. And then that would mean that he doesn't really come back down to the blue planet. Now, I don't know. That might be the ultimate black pill. I hope he does come back. I think NL is so cool. He's such an awesome character. And SL put it great. He was sandwiched in between Crocodile and Lucci, who both returned. But I don't know. I just had that thought, and maybe it's too much of a black pill. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Anything's still possible, but I would definitely love an NL return. I know everybody would be hyped for that. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, the Nels here. I remember in Wano when it was like that one panel and it looked like the elongated earlobes, and everybody's like, "It's a Nel." And it was
Yeah.
like, no, it's not. It was Conjuro or whatever. It was just funny.
Yeah.
It
That
would
was
be dope.
hilarious. If he comes back, I'll be so happy and excited. But man, I don't know. I don't know. It's getting real late in the plot. It's getting really late.
Yeah.
But all right, good chopping it up with you. I'm gonna move on to Vincent. Maybe we could throw Smokey in here, just kind of wrap up the stream because it's already past the 2-hour mark. But SL, it's always great talking to you, bro. Awesome
Yes, sir.
takes. I
Good
feel like I
job.
understand your Blackbeard argument better now.
Yeah. I knew you would understand once we could talk about it. It's just a lot to discuss, and it can only really do it in the voice chat because it's hard to get it all. You know what I mean. All right,
Yep.
man. Well, good
All right, man.
talks.
You take care, bro.
All right.
And God bless, man. Take it easy. All right, let's throw Smokey and Vincent in here. Our last.
Yo.
Hello.
Hey, SL, man, that was a good conversation. With what I could pay attention to. Not that it was long or anything like that, but the chat was wild, and Eric, Sean, and RBP are fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I kind of lost track of that conversation after the Blackbeard matchups with everything that was going on in chat.
Bro, the chat is just, I don't even, yo, this chat is demonic.
Chat was wilding for like 30 minutes or so.
It's like every time I look at the chat is just pure degeneracy. And like it's always coming from Pokemon Red. It's coming from Eric. It's Smokey. It might even be coming from you sometimes, man.
Nah. I'm innocent.
You're not innocent, bro. We're gonna start filing receipts, man.
So what you, Vincent, since I've already been on here, why don't you decide what we talk about since I've already been on here today?
Yeah, Vincent, you got to take
I'm
the
gonna
spot.
give you the floor.
Well, my thing is, I wanted to talk about with the Rocks Pirates, since I didn't get to talk about that last stream because of interruptions. But I'm not blaming no one else here. I'm just saying too many people were talking.
Yeah, I'm all ears, Vincent. Go ahead.
We're here.
Start wherever you want.
The floor is yours.
I just wanted to talk about like what we saw from all the Rocks Pirates that we saw beforehand, like the big dude with the goatee. What was his name again? Zenzi?
Wang Shi.
Yeah,
Well, no,
Wang
that
Shi.
wait, no. That ended up being someone else. I always thought that was Wang Shi. Wasn't that someone else?
Are you talking about the new Black Big Pirate we just got introduced to?
I think so.
Is that the one with the extra arms?
I thought that was
Ganzui.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I don't know why I thought in my mind he was a giant, because I guess he was a giant of Elbaf, warrior of Elbaf, but he looked no shorter than Whitebeard. So I was just confused if he was a giant or not.
Yeah,
That's a good question. Because when you brought it up, I was thinking of the guy that had all those arms, but
That was the gunner, right? The Bill something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I confused him for someone else beforehand too.
Wait, Vincent, are you saying that Ganzui with the beard, like the giant
Yes.
guy? Are you trying to say
Yes.
that he's the same dude with all the armor and Thriller Bark that we always thought was Wang Shi?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at the panel of 1155, you know, where they're all shown and they're all eating. Excuse me, they're all eating. You can see
Yes.
Ganzui. He's like holding, I don't know, cherries or something, and he's
I thought they
wearing
were
armor
grapes.
similar or grapes. The armor he's wearing in that panel, it looks similar to that zombie in Thriller Bark with the super long beard.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I thought he was a giant, but I guess I was mistaken.
I don't know. Oda is weird with the like the sizing with characters in One Piece, bro. It's very
He could have
flip
had a devil
flop.
fruit that made him
I
small,
feel
like
like he's
the one cannon episode.
I feel
So
like he's
in-
inconsistent with sizes.
Oh yeah, he is. So I always Vincent, I always think it's funny though with like you said, a devil fruit that makes him small. I always thought it was funny, like when we talk about that kind of idea, because like usually it's like you would think that people would have devil fruits to make them really big and monstrous and scary and strong.
Like Sonic Wolf with his huge fruit.
Yeah, exactly. But if someone had a devil fruit that made them smaller, it's actually I don't know, that's like funny to me for some reason.
Wasn't there like a whole non-canon arc about that right after Fishman?
I don't know. I
Are
have
you
no
talking
idea.
about
I don't follow the
Z,
non-canon.
the filler art before leading up to the Z movie
Yes, that one.
with
That
Lily
one that was related to the
Lily
One
the
Piece Z
Amazon?
movie.
Yeah, that short little girl that they run into
Yeah,
and her father.
who was a giant that ate the mini fruit.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Now,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
what was the question, Vincent, about that? Like, could someone have that fruit? Is
I
that
was
what you're asking?
thinking, no, I was thinking that he could have either had it or we misinterpreted if he was a giant or not. Like, I don't know. Or maybe every single one of them has a devil fruit that is similar to what Blackbeard has now.
I think that's a possibility.
Well, Vincent, my question is like, you're saying like you thought he was a giant. Are you saying that because the zombie was really big?
Well, I mean, the only giants we had compared to at that point were Dorian Broggy and those other two from Annie's Lobby. So I'm not sure where the size gap is. Plus, the age difference kind of messes that up too. But I could be mistaken.
I'm not sure, but if you look at my Discord server, I just posted the zombie from Thriller Bark, and then I posted Ganzui from 1155, and they wear the same armor, bro. So
Yeah, the only difference is the helmet.
Yeah. Dude, but look at the hair on Ganzui. It's the same hair as the guy, but you're right, the helmet. Maybe just when they're eating, he's not fully geared up. He's not putting the helmet on, but when it's time to battle, then he throws the helmet on.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that would be the case. Yeah, like I said, I was just confused about the size thing there. But moving on to the rest of the group, the guy who's the future Commodore of Hachinosu, what's his name? The dude that looks like wet caribou.
Oh, you're talking about
Ochoku.
Yeah, him. I'm wondering. I was wondering if he was the one that Blackbeard had to beat or persuade to giving up the island, and since he is the Commodore.
I thought Wang Zi was the leader of Hachinosu before Blackbeard.
Nah, I mean, it says that Ochoku is the future Commodore. Well, actually, hold on. Maybe after Zebek died, then Ochoku took over because we get when Blackbeard was fighting Boa, they had like some offhand comment about Ochoku.
offhand comment about
See,
what.
I'm confused about that, Eddie, because I could have swore that was wrong Z. That
Dude, I'm mixed up too.
Ochoku and Wang Z, you got me mixed up. Look, I'm gonna be honest. Just like the Blackbeard pirates, sometimes these Rocks pirates, especially these new ones with like Don Marwin, Gunsui, Ochoku, Wang Z, you're gonna get me confused, dog. You're gonna
And
get
there's
me
like
confused
three more
unless
that
I
didn't
have.
get named, right? That were on Thriller Park.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the one with all the
The
arms.
Wolverine dude, the Axe guy, which I think was just named Silver Axe, and the I think there was the Gray Fishman in the spiked mask.
I don't even know anymore, man. I don't even know. But I'm
What
sorry.
about the
The
guy with
reason
all the arms?
no, that got named in the SBS that we just got.
Okay, so his name is what? Just so I can
I don't
start
even
getting
remember.
It was Bill something.
See,
Vincent doesn't remember either.
when you say Bill Vincent, I swear it makes me think of Buffalo Bill, and I'm like Buffalo Bill is something Oda would definitely parody, because you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Buffalo Bill, right?
Oh yeah, I know Buffalo
Puts
Bill.
the lotion on the skin unless it gets the hose
Before he
again.
goes
Bro,
again.
when I hear Bill, you know who I think of? Bill Clinton.
I did
The
not
worst
the
Bill.
googity that girl's schnoogity. That just makes me think of Family Guy when they parodied Quagmire doing that.
Oh man. I still think Family Guy's funnier than South Park. I'm just being real, bro.
Oh yeah,
Uh, I don't
King
know.
of the
I'm on
Hill
the
too.
opposite side of that. I'm on the
King-
opposite side of that.
No, but sorry, I went off topic. I was saying that in 1155 they said that I forgot already. I think that it said that Ochoku was the future Commodore of Hachinosu. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think what happened was that Zebek died, Ochoku took over, and then Blackbeard he did something with Ochoku. But then, Smokey, you said you thought it was Ganzui who
No,
had
no,
died?
Wang Z, Wang Z.
Okay, hold on. Does anyone know what chapter Blackbeard fought Boa in? I think that was right after
That
Wano.
was middle Egghead, right?
Yeah, it was like in early Egghead, like a little bit after the Shanks chapter, I think. It's either a little after or before the Shanks chapter. It might
Mm,
actually be right before. No, wait, that's the Law fight, isn't it? Doesn't it go Shanks beats Kid, then Blackbeard beats Law? Yeah, no, it's got to be before that, way before
I
that.
thought Law and Blackbeard fought before he went to Amazon Lily.
Was that how it went, Vincent? I'm not so sure.
I'm not entirely sure myself.
I'm a little bit clouded on the timeline. If somebody in the comments though could post it real quick,
oh,
that would definitely help.
okay, I found it. So, oh, Smokey is right. It was chapter
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love
59.
hearing those words. Let me hear it again. Who was right?
Smokey was right.
Listen, the only reason why I know this is because Tekken goes crazy. Shout out Tekken. Tekken goes crazy for Wang Zi. Like you hear him say it every chapter almost when he does a review. He's like Wang Zi. So that's how I knew he was the one who had Hachinosu.
So, but he says in 1059, thanks to you, I was able to topple Wang Ji, making me the boss of Pirate Island. But then
Yeah.
when you look
So
at 1155, it says Ochoku is the future Commodore of Pirate Island. So is Ochoku Wang Ji then?
That's what people have been speculating forever is that it's a shared name. Which I mean I could easily accept that it's a shared name. But if it's two different people, then that's a little confusing because that's another Oda inconsistency in my mind. Unless there's a period of Hachinosu that he plans on explaining in further detail between eras. So you have Zebek, then you have uh, Ochoku, then Wang Zi, then Blackbeard took over. You know what I mean? If Wang Zi and Ochoku are not the same person.
Unless it's like a title, like a type of commander or status.
Okay, so
Uh,
Ochoku is a title name. That could be something.
No, I think Wang Shi might be a title name in that case.
Okay, Wang Ji. Okay, yeah.
And then the guy's name was Ochoku.
So since we're talking about some of the Rocks Pirates, what do you think about Don Marlin? What I think is I think if I'm remembering correctly, back in the Capone Beige backstory, we learned that he was just like a small mafia guy working under a boss, and he worked his way up, and then he got in that room, and then he killed the guys that we saw in the flashback. I'm thinking that Don Marlin was the leader of the entire mafia, of all the mafia gangs back in the day. And Capone Beige grew up looking towards him. I don't want to go the father route because I feel like calling everybody somebody's father, it's eventually going to get old. And One
Yeah.
Piece
He could be
has
his
that.
godfather.
He's
Yeah, I
got
mean, in mafia culture, he's the godfather. He's the don.
Yo, Vincent. Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
Hey, but no. Smokey, you give me a good idea. What happened to the underworld? We never talk about it. Was Don Marlin the underworld guy of the Rocks Pirates?
Mm.
He could have been
That's like
the
super subject, bro. We never talk about the underworld anymore.
And
We got a
perhaps
little bit of it in Wano, but
perhaps that Dawn brought in Stussy, and that's how she became an underworld queen. She's another rock pirate, isn't she? Well, she's a clone of one.
hey, I'm here for it. I saw people, bro. I couldn't believe this. I saw people comparing Don Marlin to Shiryu because of the chin, and I had to pause for a second. I had to think: is there something to that, or is just like a meme?
I mean, if we're
bro?
comparing family
Shiryu's
members
got
by
a big old
noses, then
wad.
chins shouldn't be out of the question.
Who?
I mean, if we're comparing people by their noses as family members, then chins shouldn't be out of the question. I mean,
Chin?
if you look,
Oh, chin. Yeah,
He's got a
yeah.
point. He's got a point. We
I
can
mean, I'm
chin
pretty sure if you
scale
rip off
now.
that big red nose of Buggy's, he's going to see that he has a long nose just like his brother.
Usopp's cousin? Upscale?
Yo, Vincent got in the open mic and he's just demolishing every caller. Bro, they're gonna
I mean,
they're
that's,
gonna pull off the red nose of Buggy's face, and it's gonna be a Blackbeard nose, bro.
yes.
See, now I know why these guys get good interest rates. No, I'm just kidding. No. But Don Marlin, I think there's some kind of relation. If you guys just hear me out, right? Don Marlin, he has the chin, right? Maybe he is the son of Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents. Bro, Eli just said it at the same time.
Here comes the Crimson Chin.
But
What would Shiryu
no.
be, the Nega Chin?
Nega chin. He would definitely be the nega chin.
Bro, Shiryu's chin is insane. I don't know what Oda was thinking. Yo, Oda, I feel like Oda is just like, yo, I'm gonna draw this character and just give them the most like craziest part of their face and just not even explain it. I'm just gonna troll.
For his sake, when
I
he goes
think
up against Zoro, I hope he doesn't have a glass jaw.
Oh yeah.
'Cause that's a big target to hit.
Yep.
Bro. If he gets hit,
imagine taking Emma to the chin. That shit's gonna hurt.
bro, you would get decapitated.
No,
Nah, that
his
shit's
chin
got
would
hockey.
block it.
It's got armament hockey.
Nah, bro, you guys better never forget when Zoro was going for that slash on rooftop. We had Big Mom saying, "Kaido, watch out!" Yo, never forget. I will never let that go. To the day I die, never forget that. Big Mom pleaded for Kaido to watch out when Zoro was throwing that attack. Never forget that.
Never underestimate the King of Hell.
Hey, in the words of Oda, don't speak ill of Zoro. Yeah.
I still think he's going to get Shamrock's sword and get Cerberus as a pet.
Yo.
That would be insane. The King of Hell having the guard dog of hell. That would be insane.
Also, I don't know if it also connects to I don't know if anyone else notices, but in some of the cover stories that we get, we always see Zoro or some other members of the crew lounging with a dog, because that's
I never
indicating that
noticed.
they're going to get some kind of canine on their crew,
Bro,
whether
they
it be
should have had
Loki or Cerberus
a
or something.
Ooh. Wait, Chopper's the raccoon dog.
Technically, yes.
He would tell you he's not a raccoon. That's what Chopper
He
would
just,
say.
I mean, he could
Nah,
have
bro,
eaten.
they should have like a pet dog on the crew, bro, like a choo-choo.
Yeah, go back and get Choo
Choo Choo
Choo. That
Magoo.
guy needs some adventure.
Yo, they need to hit a U-turn, go back to Orange Town, bro.
Fun fact, Choo Choo is based on I don't remember the exact name of the dog, but it's a Japanese dog that's in legend that has a statue in Japan. So apparently he went to like the train station or something and with his owner, and his owner left, and his owner died, and the dog died waiting for him at that station.
Bro,
I
I
know
know
what you're talking
exactly
about, but
what
I
you're
don't
talking
remember the name.
I don't
Bro,
remember the name of the dog.
it's Shiba Inu. Yo, I'm about to go see that in like a few months, bro. I'm literally gonna go see that. I know what
Yeah,
you're
you
talking
got to
about.
make sure to go see the Straw Hat statues, dog.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, yeah.
They got Luffy in Oda's hometown, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They got all the Straw Hats in the hometown. I think they have it guarding every direction.
Yes, sir. Bro, we have to. We have to go to Oda's hometown. Yo, might find the real life One Piece in Oda's hometown. You never know.
Maybe.
You'll find that
Maybe
Oda
you
is
might.
emo, like
Hey,
it's been posted all over social media.
Yo,
imagine you go to Otis hometown, Threeville, and you meet the guy that he based Buggy on. Because for those people who don't know,
Yeah.
Buggy is based on Oda's best friend. That is one of the reasons why Buggy always fails upward and why we will probably never see anything negative happen to Buggy. We might see him get beat in a fight, but we're not going to see him lose his money or anything. He's always going to be a step ahead. Buggy is literally saved by the fact that his backstory, his inspiration, is one of Oda's childhood friends.
I didn't even know that.
That's what it supposedly is. Now you can go fact check me on that, but I believe that was the case. That
No
Buggy
wonder
has some
Buggy's gotten so
inspiration.
much success. It's in honor of his best friend.
Exactly. A
Bro,
childhood friend.
if I
That was
go
Shanks and Buggy's relationship. Remember? Oda you always says, if I could be anybody, I'm like Shanks. He's the Shanks in his life, and he's got a Buggy.
Yo, if I go to Oda's hometown, I literally might walk right past him and not even realize it. I don't know what this dude looks like.
Yeah, the
I
only
thought I've
pictures we
seen
have
pictures
of
of him,
Oda
but
from
I
like
guess they were
30
fake.
years ago. No, there are pictures of Oda, but they're barely out there.
Bro, though I know what you're talking about. Those are pictures literally like 25 years ago.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Mm.
We have pictures of Oda, but they're barely out there, and we don't have a current picture of him.
Interesting that 20 years ago he shows his face, then he disappears, and 20 years later of One Piece, Emu shows up. Oh,
All right, I'm gonna only add One Piece TCG in here and Brill back in here because I do need to head out soon, but I don't want to leave them hanging. So we'll probably go for like another 10 minutes.
Cool.
All right. So let's pass the torch, the spotlight. Let's pass the floor to One Piece TCG because he hasn't had a chance to throw some stuff in the ring yet.
I mean, I don't even know what we're talking about, man. I barely hopped on. I barely caught your live 10 minutes late, bro. Or like,
we're talking nonsense, bro. We're talking about Chopper being the raccoon dog. We're talking about Arlen being Crimson Chin.
dude, I think Chopper's a bigger thing than we all think, dude. I think okay, there's a reason why they keep Chopper's bounty so low. Because the government knows Blackbeard was after his fruit in Drum Island.
Hey! Yes!
Yeah, I think
Hold
Chopper
on, say
has the
that one more
human fruit model human. I think everyone in One Piece is a human. It was kind of established like this in Fishman Island. When Jinbei gave blood to Luffy, it kind of like made the connection that fishmen and humans are basically the same thing. So I think Chopper has, and then keep in mind, Chopper has a crap ton of forms. No, I mean hardly any other zone has this many forms, and he takes remote balls to turn into these forms. Keep in mind, what's arm point? It's long arms. What's leg point? Long legs. Like I feel like Chopper can transform into any kind of human with his human fruit. So maybe in the future he might even be able to turn
And
into a
then
Nico form.
Kind
his
of
heavy
similar to
point
how
or his
Bonnie's able to
muscular
change into
point
different versions
would
of
be
her
a
future.
Dosandata
True, Vincent.
or a Buccaneer.
Oh yeah,
Is that what you're
exactly.
saying?
Yeah, I think Chopper will be able to turn into any human. That's why his monster point is technically a giant. Artificial awakening.
Monster Point Giant.
Wait, hold on. I
What
never
would the
thought
brain
about that
point be?
before.
Hmm.
What
That's
would
why they
brain
have his.
point be?
That's why
Hey,
his
but
bounty's so low.
you know what? There was actually a SBS where a reader asked Oda what would happen if a normal human ate Chopper's devil fruit, the human fruit, and Oda said like, oh, they would become a superhuman, runs away, and I thought like that was so sus. But you raised
It's
a good point. You raised a really good point. Blackbeard was probably after Chopper's devil fruit because he's okay. First of all, but when Fishman Island was starting, right? They were talking about Blackbeard, and they were saying that Blackbeard is known for hunting devil fruits. So that makes the reader think like, okay, is that why he went to Drum Island? But it's funny because they continued talking and they kind of answered it for us. The Straw Hats ended up going to Chopper. I think it was Usopp, and he was like, "Yo, Chopper, do you think he was going after your?" Or no, Chopper was like, "Oh, were they going after my fruit?" And then Usopp was like, "Why would he go after your fruit?" LOL. And then they like cut the scene, they cut the setting, and that makes me
yeah,
think like, is there something to that? Because I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing, and Chopper said it, and then Usopp tries to like change the subject or like push it off to the side. But One Piece TCG, that is brilliant. Long arms, long leg, giant. I literally never thought of that before.
He could
Buccaneer.
maybe turn into a Lunarian, bro. You never know.
Buccaneer, Lunarian.
Yeah, he could probably.
Wing
And keep in
point.
mind, guys, in the latest chapter of One Piece, or not the latest one, but when he went to go save Gabon, you guys noticed the little cartoon thing that he did when he ran in the air?
Oh, the
Yeah,
skywalk.
yeah, that kind of
Yeah,
like Luffy. That
yeah. He, little
That
maybe
was a
a
little
little bit of Joy
Roadrunner-ish.
Boy reference there. I don't know.
the cartoon spinning legs. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's Luffy-ish.
yeah. That's
Is
why I'm saying I'm like he could be like tapping into that Nika-ish power because he's a human.
hey,
Never know.
I've always believed when Luffy's around, he has the ability to affect everybody, his enemies, his allies. With the Joy Boy power. So it could have just been in proximity to Luffy. You know what I mean? But I do like what you're thinking. It's very creative. I endorse it. I
hey
think it's
Vincent,
fun.
we got to go with what Vincent called it, skywalk. Because I never know what to call that. The skywalk. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I
It's
forget
also
if it's
funny that you
skywalk or if
mentioned
it's
that.
blue walk or moonwalk.
I think it's
Moonwalk.
Moonwalk.
It's Skywalk. It's
Oh,
Skywalk
Skywalk.
is Sanji's.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
oh, I forgot that Sanji had. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
Moonwalk for CP9. It's Skywalk for Sanji.
Okay.
But it's all branched off of the Rokushiki techniques, is it not?
Yeah, yeah,
And
it
Wait,
then
is.
but
It's the
there's
same thing.
Frankie's version of Skywalk that we saw in Thrill Park,
Who the
the
boom?
Minecraft version.
wait, but
Oh no way!
Luffy used what would we call Luffy's then?
I don't know.
The
Fucking
So it's
Neo
Looney
Walk.
Tunes walk,
Skywalk or Moonwalk.
Toon Walk.
Toon walk.
Moonwalk.
The
Yeah.
Aura Walk.
But
The
you know,
Goat
it's funny
Walk.
that you mentioned that, Smokey. I think I noticed this because I was recently rewatching Impel Down. Boogie has the same effect on people.
Give me
If
an
you
Yeah.
think
example.
Like
Give
if
me
you think
an
inspirational.
of
example.
like how he affects other people, like when he was with Mr. 3, Luffy was nowhere in sight. But like they were both shocked at something, and then like Mr. Three's like eyes and mouth popped out.
Oh, okay. I see what
Yeah,
you're saying.
I thought that was
yeah,
because of his chop chop powers.
that's why he might be affecting people around him too. Kind of like how Luffy
Uh,
affects others around him. I feel like Buggy has some sort of a cartoonish power as well. You
does
never,
that
you know,
mean
I personally think, guys, I personally think that Zebek probably had Buggy's fruit.
I think it's a possibility. I mean, it would be awesome. Rox is already getting a bunch of hype, right, guys? I think we all agree on that. He's getting a lot of hype. So it would be amazing to me if just like Luffy, Rox actually got a weak fruit and trained it up. Because remember, before we knew that the Nika fruit was the Nika fruit, right? The Gum Gum fruit was considered, even in encyclopedias and data books, as a weak fruit. And Luffy literally had to train it to make it as deadly as it was.
Well, this is kind of weird,
So,
isn't it? Didn't Vegapunk say that there was no such thing as a Gum Gum fruit?
yeah, but I'm talking about like data books like in the real world, that our
Oh yeah.
world, that they gave us. They
Like
were
what it was
saying that,
before it was awakened.
yeah, before it was awakened.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I say that Zebek probably might have Buggy's fruit is because when he was introduced, when we saw what's his Loki, when he met up with Loki, we saw like a giant just like mountain get cut in half. Now I know that he could just be strong and just cut a mountain in half. People were thinking that he had lost fruit, but like, what if he had an awakened Buggy fruit? And a lot of people have been speculating, like, okay, what if Buggy could like slice atoms and that's what causes explosions? And then they're constantly saying that Zebek is a unique swordsman. Maybe he doesn't get cut. Maybe he like with every like slash he does, he explodes atoms or something. I don't know. Or it could just
Or
be
if he's,
hockey. Whatever's.
what if the awakened Chop Chop gives him the ability not even to use a sword? What if he could just chop it with a snap of his fingers?
Oh, that's broken.
That
Could
would be
possibly
dope.
do that too.
That would be dope.
That's why
That's
I personally
broken.
think he might have Boogie's fruit, but I don't know. I like to just
That'd be
speculate.
dope if he could just take off his hand and imbue it with enough hockey and just slash through everything. Just
Yeah.
disconnect his hand.
Because we still don't know what this unique ability is. It's
Also,
like
if
a
it is
cannon with every
Buggy's
slice.
fruit, I want to say this since it's been funny in the community lately. If it is Buggy's fruit that Rox has, Mihawk's super downscale.
Ooh.
Because
Definitely.
Mihawk can't cut Buggy. It's already been established. No matter how strong Mihawk is, he cannot cut
He can
Buggy.
cut rubber, but he can't cut Buggy.
It's kind of
Nah,
crazy though. I don't know
just
why he
sit here
can't.
and tolerate this Mihawk slander, dude. I can't,
It's
bro.
not slander if it's true.
Nah, y'all are some Shanks fans, bro.
You switched sides. You was on. Actually, you've always been on Zoro's side. I'll give you that. I will give you that. Threeville has always consistently been on Zoro's side, but you switched on Shanks recently.
I didn't switch on Shanks, bro.
Might as well make this a question. If there was a bracket of all the swordsmen in One Piece and Zoro wasn't in there, who do you think would come out on top?
Mihawk.
Rocksteady's the bet.
Oh, well,
Vista.
I mean, I don't know, bro. I'm still tussling with the idea, was Zebek a swordsman or not? Because honestly, you could debate that.
If you want me to give you something not debatable, world's strongest
okay.
man, Whitebeard, stands at the top.
I'll put it this way.
You can use a gun.
Yeah, bro. I used
He did-
bro.
He
had
used several
box-
weapons. He used guns, axes, boxing gloves.
Yeah, he's got a whole arsenal of different weapons. Yeah.
I'll put it this way. If we include Zebek, I would say Zebek. If we don't include Zebek, I would say Mihawk.
What about Whitebeard?
Why
Nah,
is no
What about Garland?
Nah, for this purposes, he is.
Okay,
For my
one because Garling might
stronger than Garland.
Garling might not be considered amongst all the lower world dwelling people, but I don't know.
I've always
That's a
had
good-
Garland busting Mihawk's ass for that simple reason that you just brought up. The world's strongest swordsman, known strongest swordsman in the known world. Garling isn't a known quantity. Now, is he?
But here's the thing. He's known in his world,
point.
meaning the Celestial Dragon's world, Marie Joie, their own personal world. But that does not mean that he's probably stronger than the swordsman in the real world.
I'm just throwing shit out there
Yeah,
at
true.
this point.
But back to, I wanted to go back to Zebek's devil fruit because I have an interesting theory that
Yeah, go on.
it's just spitballing here. But Eddie, you mentioned a few weeks back that you could discern people's devil fruits by looking at their Jolly Roger.
How I would allow I don't know if I said that, but I'll word it this way, where I would say you can discern the nature of the captain by the Jolly Roger. I wouldn't say like only devil fruit.
What I'm I wasn't saying that either. I was implying the captain as well. There, just didn't word it that way. But
Yeah, no,
when
I
you
see what you're
said
saying.
when you saw, you said you saw when you see the Jolly Roger, you see devil horns on the skull.
Right.
For me, I see a flaming skull. I see fire. So I think Zebek could have had the Mero Mero no Mi.
That
It
would be
could also
pretty
be
sick.
Luffy's fruit. You know, Luffy has that fire hair.
Well, I mean, wasn't the Gum Gum fruit locked on Elbaf at that time?
So they say.
True.
They didn't
So they
really
say.
necessarily say it was the Gum Gum.
But
Well, no, well, hold on, because God. So here's the thing: we're told Zebek died 39 years ago on God Valley, but we
yeah,
didn't see this legendary devil fruit until 16 years ago. So for all we know, Zebek could have had the Gomu Gomu no Mi, died, and then it got moved to God Valley.
Like Harold kept it.
Zebek's time was way before the legendary fruit got stolen from Elbaf.
Yo, when was the giant awakened? The
200
first time
years
before Luffy?
200
Okay, so it
years
can't be
ago,
Zebek.
prior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
These conversations I always find to be so interesting because when we could look at the timeline and start putting things down, that could really help narrow down ideas, especially about the giant. I still don't know that one, bro. I really.
And also
I still
the
haven't figured that one out either, Eddie. I'm still trying to figure out what could have happened 2 years ago to even awaken the giant, and who could it have been? Since we know between Joy Boy and Luffy, there was a potential for the fruit to A, have been out of the government's hands, and B, there could have been other users. They just couldn't get past the Gum Gum stage. So everybody was like, oh, that's the Gum Gum fruit.
what if one of the previous Gum Gum users was the one of the Galley Law giants?
Possible.
That would be interesting since they're implied to have built the Noah, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Smokey, you raise a good point because like I've always kind of, I mean, this is just like subjective, but I've always kind of been against the idea that other people had the Nika fruit. But when you said it the way you did, where it's like other people had the fruit but they didn't awaken it, then that kind of makes me more open to that idea. But going back to the giant awakening 200 years ago, to me, the crux of the issue, what the problem really is that it seems to be that on Egghead Island, when the robot would power up, it was through the circumstance of the drums of liberation being active. So then it's like, okay, well, why would the drums of liberation be active 200 years ago if there was no one to awaken the fruit other than you saying, no, well, someone did awaken it? Then that becomes a scenario where it's like, wait, so there was a Nika user in the past, but it wasn't Joy Boy 800 years ago, 900 years ago. So who was it? And like that, I feel like that would take a lot of explaining from Oda to be like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this really notorious figure 200 years ago who had the Nika fruit and he even awakened it. Because then it kind of makes it seem like, wait, I thought like Luffy's a new Joy Boy and the original one was like 900 years ago and Luffy's finally coming back. Oh wait, actually, no, there's actually one 200 years ago. You see what I'm saying? It kind of like it like rubs.
It makes it hard. It makes it hard. I agree.
Maybe it's a devil fruit that stays dormant for a certain number of centuries until it reaches a certain point. Like it started
Every
900 years ago, then it woke
Another
up 200
question would-
years ago, then. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I mean, another question would be: would Gear Fourth be considered a partial awakening? Could someone have reached the Gear Fourth stage and awakened it? But then my other question arises: is that did he have to be around Emmett to awaken him, or could like have Emmett awakened while this person was like in Fishman Island, for instance? You get me?
I also have an idea, guys. Let me just throw this out here real quick, and then I'll let y'all continue. What if it was the fruit itself that awakened Emeth? Now we're saying like the drums, right? What if the fruit produced a vibration on the level that it woke up Emeth?
Like it, just a massive
Because
heartbeat
there was,
throughout the sea.
let's say somehow the fruit. All right, let's say plain devil's advocate that the fruit is sentient, like the Gorosei were saying, and it always forced itself out of their hands. They could never get their hands on it, right? What if the fruit was sentient and 200 years ago there was an event going on in the world that maybe even the devil fruit was on the same location and the devil fruit just reverberated the drums of liberation, and Emeth woke up. That is the best guess I
So,
have right now.
so
That
I
doesn't
would be
involve somebody else awakening the fruit 200 years ago,
I,
and
I
then
would
Oda
be
has to bring in another character.
I would be open to that because Sean Terry makes a good point where the Gorosei said that the Nika fruit wasn't awakened 800 years ago. So one thing that I didn't really touch on because I went on like this whole long tangent was like, again, Egghead, it makes it seem like the Emeth robot powers up because of the drums of liberation. But I think the key thing here is just because the drums of liberation can power up the robot doesn't mean that that's the only way to power up the robot.
Fair.
Because,
Fair
just
enough.
because just because someone ate the Nika fruit and they went into Gear 5 and they started playing the drums and it powered up Emeth doesn't mean that's the only way to power it up.
Okay, so
Like there's more than one
let me
power
bounce
source
this back to
for
you.
Uranus.
Let me bounce this back
I
to you.
mean,
Maybe
the-
Emeth woke up of his own discretion. Maybe he sensed something was wrong and he just decided to get up.
yeah, maybe he was wired to power up, and maybe they said like, okay, when you die 600 years later you're going to boot up. So he died at 800 years ago, end of void century. 600 years later, which was 200 years ago, he boots up on his own accord.
One last hypothetical and then I'll shut up. Eddie, what if Joy Boy prophesized that exact year and gave Emeth instructions to wake up?
It would
Kind of like
make
how
me
Zebek
wonder,
said, "I'll
like,
be back."
I'll be back. It makes me wonder where it's like, why? Because it doesn't seem like there's any notable thing that happened 200 years ago aside from that. So you would think like, well, why wouldn't Joy Boy say 800 years later? Because then at least
when did the
Luffy
fishermen join the reverie? When were they officially recognized? Was that
the
around that
same.
200
same
years ago.
200 years ago? Was that the same time?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It could have also been something to deal with the Mother Flame.
Yeah,
Maybe the
so
mother.
that's another thing. That's another thing I wanted to say because Vincent just said maybe there's another power source because we know when they were looking at Emeth in the beginning of Egghead, they were talking about Emeth after they were talking about this dynamic power source that could light up the whole world. And it's interesting because Shaka pointed at Emeth and he said, like, I think he's powered up by that dynamic power source. But then Oda throws like a wrench in it where we see the drums of liberation power up the robot. So maybe how it is that the ancient energy source, which we could, let's just call it Mother Flame for now, even though Vegapunk said it was incomplete. Let's just say Mother Flame. The Mother Flame is the primary resource that powers up Emeth, but there's another secret way to power him up, and it's the drums of liberation. But then that would require you to explain who had the ancient energy resource 200 years ago to power up Emeth.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
See, there's so many like variables, so many different directions to go. But I love that about the story. So,
Oh, hi.
I mean,
what's up, bro? I'm sorry, we'll only be here for a few more minutes. It's almost 1 a.m. where I'm at, so I didn't want to
no
leave
worries.
you hanging.
No, it's that's fun. I actually like when you guys were talking about like the different ways to like for Emeth to awaken. I also thought about what could also fit into the timeline, and with Bonnie's recent like turning into Nika thing, could there be possibly a way that with the age fruit like fully awakened, it could do the same exact thing, which would explain like
Like it could replicate the powers of Nika.
yeah, like it could. So Emeth could have awakened because of that.
We've definitely seen that in the works with Bonnie.
you know, there's so many options, man. It could be Bonnie. It could be like obviously we debunked maybe the whoever had the Nika fruit, but it could also be someone with like Chopper's fruit, like how I mentioned earlier. Maybe someone had like a Nika thing with Chopper's fruit, and that could have also awakened it. There are so many options.
I mean, it may not even be the sun god's power at all. It could be a different god.
You also mentioned like did you guys mention the Fishman Island thing that happened during that time? Because like Emmett's awakening and the Fishman Island joining, like when they originally tried to, I think was like in the same timeline, in the same like time point. So maybe Emeth was trying to protect Poseidon of that era.
Yeah, no, you raised a good point. I blundered. I said that there wasn't anything notable that happened. You're right. And actually, wasn't it Nami that pointed that out? They were talking about how Emeth powered up and attacked Marishwa 200 years ago, and I think it was Nami of all people. She was like, "Wait, wasn't that when the Fishman people finally got the rights or something?" So
Yeah,
I mean,
I think I remember Nami saying that. Yeah, I
you
think you're
raised
right about that one.
you raise a good point because it's like, okay, well, why are you talking about him randomly powering up, and then you have Nami saying, "Oh, isn't that the same exact time that Fishman people got their rights?" And then they cut to a different conversation. They cut to a different scene. I remember that scene. So it's like, okay, Oda, you're trying to tie these two things together. Well, they must be related, right? So if you're saying that he wanted to protect the former Poseidon, that actually makes a lot of sense. So I don't know, would they have given the Fishman Island or the Fishman people their rights to lure in Poseidon, and then they try to grab Poseidon, and Emeth was like, "Oh hell no!" and then it started fighting, or what?
Well, I think
could've
for
been.
us to figure, that out, I think we're gonna have to go back to. I think we're gonna have to go back to Roger's flashback where he met Charlie, and I think we're gonna have to go back to Fishman Island because I think we gotta think about the frequency that a mermaid princess that is born with the power to control the Sea Kings, aka Poseidon, is actually born. How often that comes around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
Yeah, that's pretty
once
cool.
we figure that out, we can discern this for sure, or at least
Should
do
get
a
that
better
tattooed.
degree.
Now go ahead,
I mean,
Smokey. Sorry, I was showing a floor mat. I distracted
I
everyone.
know you were, but I know you did. Basically, what I was saying is, I think we need to go back to Roger's flashback where he met Charlie, and I think we need to go back to Fishman Island and discern how frequently a mermaid princess is born with the Sea King power, and how often Poseidon comes around. Because if every princess had the ability of Poseidon, then we could say for sure maybe it had to do something with Poseidon 200 years ago that Emeth was protecting, and he could have been went to Marishwa to protect an ancient weapon because, like you said, the fishermen got their rights right around that time. But I think we need to figure out how often Poseidon comes around before we can say that for sure.
I think I remember in Odin's flashback, I think they might have said like the mermaid princess comes every few centuries. I think it was like a vague mention like that.
Okay, so cool. So every few centuries, every 100 years, it could fit. It could fit. Just so happened that year there was a mermaid princess with the power of Poseidon.
Could also be like
Could
every
this mean that
200.
all the other ancient weapons have timers as well? Like they awaken every few centuries? Like
Yeah,
one day,
or was that
Pluto's going to just walk out of Wano?
was it wordplay that just said every 200 years?
Yeah, it could also be every 200 years because that's how long it was ago. So if you think about like 800 years, and like
Yeah,
every 200, because they
Yeah,
obviously wanted to do
Platinum.
yeah, because they obviously wanted to do something like the enslavement of them probably was to try to get like it was probably to get Poseidon because it was too like vague about who it was, and it's like we get that it's like the princess, but maybe they were trying to do something with that. Maybe like
I mean, how do we know if it's Data Princess? For all we know, it could have changed over time.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like finally they figured it out. Like, oh, it's only the princess. Okay, you can free them all. We don't need them. You know.
I mean, another thing I want to add to it is could those pills that Hody Jones and his crew took, could that play a factor? Because
I was
you know
thinking
like
the
they
same
turn
thing, 'cause
white.
that's like
You
from
know,
an old
I found
thing,
it.
right?
like Luffy.
I found it. I hate to interrupt. I'm sorry. 967 official translations. King Neptune says, "It is said that a mermaid who can talk to Neptunians, which is the Poseidon power, will soon be born. They only come around every few centuries." 967.
Okay, so if we were to say it's 200 years, check me if my math is right. Going back 800 years ago, boom, Joy Boy has the Poseidon of that era. So 200 from 800, 600, 400, 200 years ago. Boom, we hit the 200 years ago. So if hypothetically it was every few centuries and few meaning two here, then yeah, sure. I think it could work.
Yeah. So we
And it
could have
all
had
started
4 or
100
3.
years after the void century started.
Yeah, or like maybe we could say like every 200 years post death.
Okay, I see what you're
But
saying.
it's still what Vincent's saying 800 years ago, but I think like that might be. I mean, this is a guess, but that might be like more precise. I don't know.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I hate to let you guys go. I need to go get some rest, lay down,
I
and
thought
go to
I'd see you
tomorrow.
move some food up there. Bro is
What
ready
was-
to eat. I thought you
Oh.
moved some food closer to you.
Nah, man, I was pouring some water. You should go get some lunch though.
That's what I'm gonna
it's
go do.
lunchtime here.
I'm
I'm
good.
about to
With some
cook up some
Chick-fil-A.
burgers.
Oh, who said Chick-fil-A?
Yo, that's
Let me
actually
get some
sounding good
Chick-fil-A.
right now.
Yes, bro. I have not. Oh man, I haven't touched Chick-fil-A in so long, bro. I missed the garlic and herb ranch.
Bro,
don't
I
have
remember you
Chick-fil-A there?
talking about Chick-fil-A, but way back in your old streams, bro.
Yeah, man. We don't have Chick-fil-A here. We don't.
Bummer, man.
We got
Damn.
Wingstop.
I figured you guys would have almost everything there.
Bro, we have almost everything except Chick-fil-A.
Damn,
And
that's
In-N-Out.
crazy.
That's American exclusive, I guess.
Bro, you would think it wouldn't be American exclusive. It's like such a huge thing now.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, then. Well,
All right,
I'm
boys.
going to head out. Hey, thank you for inviting me, man. I know I had a short time here, but thanks for inviting me. Hopefully I can make
It's
it earlier
all right.
to the next one.
It's all right.
Peace
And
out, brother.
shout out to everyone who super chatted, especially Young Smokey. He dropped a 300 bomb. So we're gonna have another open mic as soon as I get the chance. We have like 3 or 4 streams coming up this week because we have 11:56. But as soon as we get back on the break, we're gonna have another open mic. So I hope I can see you again, Smokey, Vincent, Brill, TCG, Wordplay, and more people. I hope to see everyone there. I love chopping it up. And this E-Myth Poseidon conversation was great.
And just wanted to say happy second birthday to you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. 2 years of this channel.
Second birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, man.
Birthday.
Yeah, thank you. 2 years with this channel. It's a blessing to have all these homies and supporters. It's great. I'll never forget when the first channel got hacked. Like my whole life was just crumbling. And we started this one, and it's been amazing ever since. So I just got to give Jesus Christ, God, all the glory, all the thanks. He's protected me and saved me so many times in my life. But thank you all. I greatly appreciate it. I can't wait to see 11:56. Hopefully we can get an info box revealing how Zebek is the father of Buggy. Hopefully we can see that Zebek has the chop fruit. Blackbeard is
Black and blue hair. Black and blue hair. Let's go.
Everything. And I'm excited for another year of One Piece, another year of theories, and I promise I'm still trying to work on videos and theories. I know people constantly ask, but my standards are way too high for my own good. It's just so bad. Like nowadays, I don't even want to do a theory or a video unless I think it's like the greatest thing in the world. But then it's awful because no one could ever have a perfect piece of art if you're this much of a perfectionist. And then I'm kind of like betraying you guys at the same time because like you guys do want to see, content and theories, but I promise.
I think you have the right idea. I mean, if you're not inspired, I would rather you not make them than force a theory.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You don't want to waste energy on something you're not willing to do.
Yeah.
I have like all like these threads and theories on Twitter, but it's kind of like just things that I think some people might find interesting. But like, I've been making theories for so long, bro. Before I even made a channel, it's just like, I don't know, bro. And like getting into philosophy, I started like reading and learning philosophy, like all these different writing techniques, and just trying to like get way too perfectionist for my own good.
If you want a good book, read The Art of War.
Oh, I've read, yeah, Sun Tzu. I've read that. I read that back in like literally like 2019 or something like that.
I think you
It's-
should do it again with a fresher perspective. Now that things have changed for you, you've gotten married, you've gotten into your faith.
Yeah.
Read it again.
I'm gonna have
You might
married
need
man
it.
theories. Then when I have a child, I'm gonna have like the dad One Piece theories.
What do you think of this theory? Goo goo gaga. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Hey,
Have my
that's gonna be
child
your number
in the
one
theory video.
validation right there. You get a goo goo gaga, that means the theory's good. You get a poopy diaper, that well, you know what that means.
All right. I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you all, Vincent, Brill, TCG, Wordplay, Smokey, Abigna, Johan. God bless all of you guys. I will continue praying for you guys. I hope God strengthens you guys, brings you peace to your heart, brings you guidance in life with what to do. I hope He blesses you guys financially with your bank account, your friends, your family. I pray for the health of your parents and your loved ones. Take care, everyone. I'm so excited for 1156. Shout out to RBBP. Shout out to Sean. Everyone, take care, everybody. I will be seeing you guys at 1156. Short summary on Tuesday. Peace out, everybody.
Laters, man. Good night.
Thank you.
Yo,
You're gonna
see
sleep.
you guys.
If the world hates you, just remember that it has hated me first. If you belong to the world, then the world would love you as its own. But I chose you from this world, and you do not belong to it. That is why the world hates you. Whoever hates me, hates my Father also. They would not have been guilty of sin if I had not done among them the things that no one else has done. As it is, they have seen what I did, and they hate both me and my Father. They hated me for no reason at all.